Greetings warriors, it's JockJut, and I'm stoked to have you join us for another epic quest. If you're new to the tribe, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give a battle-worthy thumbs up, and ring the notification bell to stay fortified. Drop your thoughts in the comments and rally your fellow warriors by sharing this video. To all our seasoned warriors, your loyalty is unmatched, and we appreciate every like, comment, and share. Stick with me until the end of the battle.
The war's coming!
Now, let the adventure begin.
Join us as we delve into the recap of an exciting Manhwa series, Unscientific Tame, Chapter 1-6. There is a young man seen just outside Pin City area, Beast-Tamer Duel Hall. His name is Shi Yu, a beast-tamer. He approached the arena where the duel was taking place, and he entered the arena as soon as the battle ended. With a look of anticipation, he approached arena number 11, whose manager and judge is Bai Shi. Bai Shi explained that the participants only have a duration of 1 hour and that he would be the judge. Shi Yu and the other contestant replied that they were ready for the battle, to which Bai Shi commenced the battle. The next moment, Shi Yu conjured the beast space and summoned a little panda, and the contestant also responded with his own summon of an ice beast clad in armor. Evaluating his opponent's beast, Shi Yu explained to the panda, whom he referred to as 11, to be careful about the claws and not take the damage head-on. But then, considering the odds and the advantage of his beast, Shi Yu's opponent felt that he had the upper hand. However, Shi Yu was seen as he threatened his beast about reducing its food fees, which prompted 11 to be serious and use its skill, hardening effects, and was able to defeat the ice beast in a single attack. However, the result of this was named the Unscientific Tame, and everything started when Shi Yu became a beast-tamer apprentice. Chapter 1. A young man was seen in the room where a book from the shelf fell and hit him on the head, leading to his wake. However, on waking up, he noticed that his environment had changed, as had his look. He recalled being a young archaeologist with an extraordinary look before, but now, no matter how he looks at it, he only looks like an ordinary high school student. He saw some books beside him, and they were all strange to him. However, as he was about to reach a book, fragments of memories came to him, and he recalled that the life he was living was no longer on Earth. He discovered that he had instead come to a place called Blue Star. In Blue Star, no matter what animals or plants, including mountains, lakes, wind, and snow, can possibly become extraordinary creatures to awaken higher wisdom and possess powerful abilities. And from the perspective of people living on Earth, they are known as divine beasts. Human beings also have their own extraordinary abilities. Due to this, they have the ability to control beasts. And then, some people can open up a different space through meditation, and then be able to capture and control those extraordinary creatures. Nonetheless, beyond the territory of human beings is still the territory of extraordinary creatures, so powerful beasts often cause disasters for humans. Being able to recall the memories of the present body he is living in, the previous life saw him lose all his family in a beast tide and become an orphan. Even though his name remains Shi Yu, he is no longer the greatest mythologist on Earth. He then logged into the system, where he checked out his week's task, to which he discovered the task of an ordinary intern pet animal at the pet animal breeding base in Icefield City. Chapter 2. The reason Shi Yu did odd jobs in the breeding base was just to become a beast master. When he woke up one morning, he was concerned about how he would clear the day's task, and he remembered vividly that the snow wolf was a pack-loving and extremely ferocious carnivore. When he thought clearly, he saw that the task was a dangerous one. But still, he thought that it should not be a problem because he has the gift of telepathy. As he worked through the task on his computer, he saw he could go there for an internship, in addition to the good grades in the theory class, which is also because of the special beast monitoring talent called telepathy. Since his beast master talent is telepathy, he can talk to any creature, although it cannot be used in battle and is very important. So it is very popular in the fields of diplomacy, education, pet breeding, and research. But with that talent, it should be easier to get along with Snow Wolf. Then he opened the beast's familiar space. and his second talent was activated, which was the skill map. So when human beings opened the beast familiar space, they would also awaken a beast familiar talent. The beastly familiar talent was divided into enhanced type and special type, whereby the ratio is about 9:1. Enhanced talent can strengthen specific types of pets. It is a typical combat talent. Special talents are very complicated, and the gap is huge, but Shi Yu's original talent, telepathy, was the most common among special types. Although it is not powerful or rare, it is very convenient to find a job. Shi Yu's special talent can copy the extraordinary abilities of extraordinary creatures and include them in the illustrated book. The included abilities can be freely taught to other extraordinary creatures other than humans. And if one needs to successfully copy the abilities of other extraordinary creatures, 3 conditions need to be met. The conditions are to see the opponents and use the ability with his own eyes. There must also be physical contact with each other. And the third is that the skill to contact the other party should be completed within 1 hour. Those are the conditions for copying and collecting skills. And if one wants to teach skills to other creatures, then one needs to meet certain criteria. Shi Yu also noticed that his skill illustrated book almost allowed him to master a large number of skill cheats. But when he realized that there was no information about awakening dual talents in memory, he hoped that if he was the one, it should have seemed possible, as he was a time traveler and not a normal person. Chapter 3. Shi Yu felt that it was quite beneficial for him to have a time traveler talent coupled with the telepathy talent. However, at that moment, there was a warning alarm issued, which made Shi Yu realize that he was late. Shi Yu was later seen in a building, all geared up for the task. However, he saw a pack of boxes that contained much of the meat reserved for the beast. Shi Yu savored the look with which he remarked that he could understand why people do not want to be beast masters, because the beast eats better than humans. The other interns advised Shi Yu to be careful when feeding the snow wolves, as they are quite violent. However, they tried to assist him, but he refused as he quite preferred being alone, implying that his interpersonal communication is very lacking. He believed that he must get familiar with the world first, and then communication with others can be done later. He eventually got to where the snow wolves were being located and saw that they were quite menacing due to being starved. He heard what they were saying. However, he asked for the Snow Wolf King, who came out and marked him. But then his skill book came out and revealed the skill the Snow Wolf King possessed. Chapter 4. Shi Yu was able to copy one of the Snow Wolf King's skills, deterrence. This implied that he could teach that skill at any time as long as he found the right pet. Deterrence skill represents the king's qualification, and that also implies that his energy could be enough to produce a beast king. However, the Snow Wolf King noticed Shi Yu and asked if he was scared, to which Shi Yu replied through telepathy that he was only happy. He then brought the beast's meal, and the snow gathered around him, mainly because of the beast's mark. Shi Yu then touched one of the snow wolves, to which he received the notification that he could teach the deterrence to it, and thereby manually produce a Snow Wolf King. After a while, Shi Yu finished feeding the snow wolves and was on his way back when he noticed the blue-backed eagle and discovered its skill, which is restraint, which he found to be teachable. He then realized that not only the Wolf King can be bred, but that he can also breed bird kings. He would love to try it, but then everything starts with the basics. Shi Yu then saw a banner about the pandas, which are known as the Iron Eaters and are only categorized in the medium extraordinary race, because they only have one skill, hardening. Shi Yu thought that he could afford one of the Iron Eaters since it can eat minerals and transform them into hardened bodies. And if he added the restraint skill he just copied, including some perception and acceleration skills, he imagined that his Iron Eater would be the King Panda. He knew that he needed to have some money before he could afford an Iron Eater, so he moved on to the next, hoping he could copy some skills again. However, an instructor was seen as he informed the interns about their next duty, which was to observe and record the behavior and growth of green cotton worms, and he asked them to be very careful in dealing with the worms. However, as Shi Yu tried to touch one of them, They panicked and immediately attacked with their webs, which covered his entire face. Chapter 5. Shi Yu obtained a deterrence skill status that was teachable, but Shi Yu looked worried over the fact that everything was the same as he thought. Although he saw that the skill in the skill boom was useless, it was a ski. It turned out that one can teach worm silk again to green cotton worms who have already learned it, and repeating the leeching of a skill increases its proficiency. Shi Yu noticed that 51 kinds of pet animals were raised in the animal breeding base of Icefield City. As there was no perception skill that he wanted to copy, the awakened skills of the cubs are basically low-level, basic skills that have no value for copying. Although he did know if there was an upper limit for the copy skill of the second talent, it seemed that before the upper limit was clarified, it was better to focus on mid-level and high-level skills. But when he thought of the dandelion group in the infirmary, the proficiency in the treatment skills was really high. And not only are there a large number of wild pets at the animal breeding base in the Icefield City, but there are also many beast masters. And it seemed that it was time to switch goals, so he went to a certain place where he saw that there were capabilities for healing pets in the infirmary in the dormitory. He reached a medical room, and suddenly his hand seemed to be twisted. So he had to shout for help towards a nearby doctor seated on a chair not a long distance from him. He complained about the sudden change in the situation of his hand. The doctor, who was female, then asked Shi Yu to come over to her so she could have a look at it. Meanwhile, the doctor observed that it looked like it was an intern breeder there or a student who just graduated from school, and often those kinds of employees were the ones who liked accidents the most, and they were used to them. Then Shi Yu walked up to the doctor, and he asked the doctor if the injury would not affect his work the next day. The doctor then replied that he not bother himself as she promised to deal with it for him. The doctor then used a certain power, which Shi Yu identified as the summoning of the divine beast, and after the doctor applied it to the injury, she assured him that he would soon be fine. He tried twisting his hand, but it was not really that painful. Gradually, Shi Yu felt no more pain as the infirmary at the breeding base was really awesome. Then Shi Yu realized that it was an extremely rare healing ability, and with the help of this second talent, he successfully copied the ability. Chapter 6. Shi Yu discovered that he could copy the skills of pet beasts by contacting the pet beast of the Beastmaster in the breeding base. With these in hand, Shi Yu believed that tonight is just for testing the waters since the internship period is 3 months away, which implied that there will be more opportunities in the future. The doctor then informed Shi Yu that he was just being overly active, as the pet beast said it was just a minor injury. Shi Yu only smiled awkwardly in return, to which he said that he would be more careful next time, and then left. He knew that using the excuse of a small injury to test his copying skills would cause a bit of a delay in other people's work. So he thought that he should buy some snacks that were plant-based the next day as a way to show gratitude. He was later seen in his room as he realized that his skill illustration book can also be taught repeatedly to increase the proficiency of pet skills, and that can serve as a push to speed up the training efficiency of pets. He recalled that the doctor he met a few moments ago was a trainee beastmaster. However, when the abilities of both the Beastmaster and the initial beast reach a certain standard, only then can they participate in the unified assessment of the Beastmaster Association, pass the assessment, and upgrade from a trainee Beastmaster to a professional Beastmaster. This was what Shi Yu was contemplating before he drifted off to sleep. 3 months later, Shi Yu's skill books have reached their upper limit, and he is thankful that he didn't rush to copy the low-level skills. Otherwise, it would have been a loss. Supervision is a technology used to enhance vision, and it comes from the group of high-level and extraordinary wind-type bird pets patrolling in the sky of the breeding base. Shi Yu then went through the range of skills he had gathered over the months. Although he guessed that there would be a limit to the skill book, 5 is too few for starters, and the only way to increase the skill book pages is to develop his Beastmaster talent and his level as well, because as the Beastmaster upgrades their beast space, their beast talent will also be strengthened. Shi Yu looked at the certificate, which meant that he had passed the internship program. He knew that it was time for him to get his Iron Eater, So he proceeded to the iron bamboo base to obtain the iron eater he had reserved. Chapters 7 to 12. Chapter 7. As Shi Yu walked through the stairs, he saw that the stairs was long, and that had made the staircase so deserted, and when he got to the top, he saw the iron eater who introduced itself as Lin Xiuxiu, the staff of the place. That made Shi Yu wondered why there can't be some lively employees instead of such a quiet place. But the Xiuxiu told Shi Yu not to be surprised, as they was just a life-sized iron eater doll costume. And Shi Yu told him that he was just surprised because he was putting on a doll costume. Shi Yu then introduced himself to Xiuxiu. Xiuxiu then explained to Shi Yu that all what he did is for better understanding the mood of the iron-eating beast. And he also told Shi Yu that if you want to cultivate good iron-eating beasts, then Shi Yu must fully understand them, which is the most basic fundamental skill for a breeder. Xiuxiu also remembered that Shi Yu is also a graduate of the breeding major regarding the information he heard about Shi Yu, and that was why he could see the reason why Shi Yu could understood him. Shi Yu then reasoned that it was a girl's voice he heard from the doll, and he replied Xiuxiu that all the same, he is still a newcomer far from being as good as Xiuxiu, whom he addressed as his senior. Xiuxiu appreciated the compliment Shi Yu passed to him, and he made Shi Yu knew that anyone can try that method, and also that after Shi Yu get the pet beast, he can then sell 2 sets of doll costumes to Shi Yu at a discount. Xiuxiu thereafter asked Shi Yu to come in after him to let them discuss first, and when they got inside, Xiuxiu off the doll costume on her body, and it was a female under the costume putting on a nice outfit, which made Shi Yu wondered if he would also have to buy the outfit as well. Xiuxiu informed Shi Yu that the information he needed is already complete, so she hoped that Shi Yu should be able to get the pet beast that day, and Shi Yu asked if it can be done that day, so he will also ask if he can choose to start at that moment. But Xiuxiu told him that if he had Cain earlier then perhaps there will still be a choice, but just that he came too late, as the current situation was like that batch of eater cubs, already picked, but only one was left. However, Xiuxiu informed Shi Yu that there was a problem with Top One's physique and personality. While Xiuxiu was talking, Shi Yu reasoned if that unfolding little wisdom turns out to be himself. The way Shi Yu sees the Iron Eater beast behaving, it made him conclude that it is really nerdy, but Xiuxiu let him know that it is not even the Iron Eater beast's active season yet, so the bigger iron waters are basically quieter that time, but the smaller ones are more lively than the bigger ones. Shi Yu then sighted a small iron eater, which he also saw that was very lively and normal among others. Chapter 8. Xiuxiu explained to Shi Yu that the iron eater cubs had some problems at birth, so the birth was not smooth, and its physique was slightly weaker than other iron-eating beast cubs. So the iron-eating beasts of the same period have successfully awakened a hardening ability before 1 year old, but only a specific one among them has not been awakened until then, and that was how that Iron Eater was picked out. As a result, that particular Iron Eater's character has become different from other iron-eating beasts. In most cases, iron-eating beasts have a very docile temperament, and they rarely attack other creatures actively. Xiuxiu then explained to Shi Yu that the initiative just then hits a tree, which is the way, and it is used to exercise physical strength, so it has become abnormally self-disciplined, and it actively trains hard, hoping to quickly awaken and harden its ability to become stronger. Xiuxiu then showed Shi Yu a rare Iron Eater who has dreams, and not a lazy type, but unfortunately the Iron Eater just had a slight lack of talent. And that made Shi Yu concluded that the Iron Eater beast cubs has a particularly poor talent, but at the same time, it is very hard-working. However, Xiuxiu thought that Shi Yu's words were exaggerated, so she told Xiuxiu not to worry as the Iron Eater was just born slower, and if it can be put into the space for cultivation, then it can be quickly adjusted in the future. Shi Yu could then saw that such a self-disciplined iron-eating beast is actually very rare, and Xiuxiu also agreed to the fact, because that character caused it to have irregular work and rest, so it make it become too edible. Shi Yu then told Xiuxiu that he wants it then, and Xiuxiu asked him again if he had decided about it yet, because generally, beast masters are very concerned about the talent of pet beasts. Shi Yu really appreciates that kind of hard-working pet beast he saw, as it makes it felt like it would go well with him. So he asked Shi Yu if she will give him any discount. Meanwhile, Shi Yu understood Shi Yu's situation, but she told him that there are no discounts on pricing, so they treated every eating steel beast equally there. But she made Shi Yu realize that if he chooses it, then she can give him some tips on how to take care of it, and there, he can get an extra month of iron bamboo as a bonus. Shi Yu was really happy with Shi Yu's conclusions. Shi Yu then went to the iron-eating beast and informed it that a beast master had chose it. The iron-eating beast's reaction shows that it is very happy, and they both agreed on the deal. Shi Yu asked Shi Yu if they can sign the contract then, and Shi Yu agreed. Meanwhile, some previous beast master that came to the place before do reject the 11th, who was the iron-eating beast with poor talent, but finally Shi Yu decided to choose it, and Shi Yu believed that the iron-eating beast will surely grow under the care of Shi Yu. Chapter 9. Shi Yu was seen as he tried to sign the contract with the iron-eater beast, and he felt tiring. However, he continued, to which he successfully signed a contract with the iron eater and felt instantly restored. Meanwhile, Shi Yu advised him to let the iron eater get familiar with the environment of the beast space first, and not to frequently summon and recall it. She then added that within a week, Shi Yu should be able to awaken the hardening ability. At the time, Shi Yu's body value has been increased, and the number of skills that can be recorded has been increased as well. However, he thought that he could certainly get the power feedback from the beast, and that was the reason why Shi Yu was able to suppress the Iron Eater beast not long ago. Shi Yu noticed Shi Yu's expression and asked what was wrong. Shi Yu explained that although his physical fitness has improved instantly, he still feels a little uncomfortable. So, Shi Yu then told him that he will surely feel uncomfortable at first, but he will get used to it later. However, Shi Yu informed him that she will take him through the final procedures and then give him the cultivation manual. Meanwhile, Shi Yu has to fill the address, to which Shi Yu promised that Shi will send him there regularly, and that the beast's food must be kept fresh, and it's not suitable for mass storage. Shi Yu then made a request about if he can visit the place in order to breed the Iron Eaters, and to know more about the real living environment of the Iron Eaters. Shi Yu agreed to his request, but she said that free eating is prohibited. Shi Yu then replied with a red glint in his eye, saying that he doesn't freeload, but he should get a pat on his back. Shi Yu then brought his beast home, looked for a suitable training ground, to which he picked a place, and started by teaching it the hardening ability first. However, the Iron Eater beast held its paw out, and the hardening ability was activated. Chapter 10. Shi Yu was surprised at how the iron-eating beast had a good nap and suddenly awakened, but he later realized that it turned out that it is the role of the space to promote growth, but he still wondered why it was so fast, which made him doubt if Shi Yu was reliable, because she told him before that it will take about a week to awaken the hardening skills. He told the iron-eating beast to let them try the repeated teaching of the skill book. According to the current hardening state being said in the book, it is still only entry level, and so a low-level skill should be practiced from the introductory stage of the proficient stage, and at least a month of serious training is also required. That made Shi Yu thinks that using the skill illustration book to teach seemed to consume physical energy, so he have rethink on maybe he should use the most garbage non-level skill worm silk in the skill book to test the consumption situation. So he thought of where he could find new test subjects. Shi Yu then went on to inform the iron-eating beast about its first battle after learning the skills, so he urged the beast to be serious about it, as he had found a test subject for it, and immediately, the beast started the battle with a test subject, and after fighting for a while, Shi Yu saw that the beast did well, but he reasoned that there is only one pattern, and which should only be awakened once, so he prepared not to let go of such a good test subject. Chapter 11. When Shi Yu saw that test subject's worn silk are still too weak, he then threatened to feed it to his iron-eating beast, because the most proficient thing is pulling worms. Just then the system notified Shi Yu that the worm silk skill status is teachable, and instantly, Shi Yu began teaching the test subject the skill, but after a while of teaching, he realized that he is instantly hungry and tired, so he wanted to sleep. Before he could knew it, the test subject already changed, which shows that he had proceeded to the second pattern of the teaching, and that gave him a wondering remarkable if his teaching was a success. Gradually, the worm silk became more powerful, and the test subjects slipped away from his hands, leaving his hands tied tightly with the work silk, and that showed him a proof that the worm silk is more skillful than before. Although the strength has been improved, yet it is still too weak for Shi Yu, as he was able to cut off the silk and free his hands, which he expected to be hard for him to do. So he went back to the test subject and tell it to take it easy, while he had a thought if the proficiency of that worm silk was from the entry level to the proficiency level, because the strength of the worm silk is already comparable to the high-quality green cotton worms that have been cultivated with spiritual plants in the breeding base. So he reasoned that it may not be as good as the growth level, but the proficiency of worm silk is definitely the highest, and also in addition to the improvement of the skill proficiency. Shi Yu believed that there is also a level improvement, and he wondered if it was because the green cotton worm has a deeper understanding of racial skills, which drives its own strength to grow, and then undergoes a second awakening and transformation, or maybe during the teaching of the skill. He was also giving it a portion of his power as feedback. Yet, Shi Yu believed that no matter what, the experiment in the skill book was a success, as he saw that the physical consumption was okay, so he decided to check the skill book again if he can try another skill teaching. While going through the skill teaching in the book, he saw a skill teaching cooldown of 8 hours, and he was shocked, but at the same time, he felt that it is normal to think about it, although the consumption of that teaching is within his tolerance. But he knew that if he abused it, it will drain him, as the 8 hours cooldown is a protection mechanism. Shi Yu then thought of eating, and then have a sleep to recover the stress he had, and also if he wanted to make good use of the skill book, he still have to do exercise, as a non-level skill requires an 8-hour recovery period, and a low-level skill might take 1 or 2 days. So he wondered how many days would take the mid-level and super-level skills, if there were foods or supplements to speed up recovery. Shi Yu finally concluded that he would wait for the training to finish and then quickly restore the charging status. Chapter 12. It was already getting late, and Shi Yu decided to go and prepare for dinner, as he told his iron-eating beast to wait for him until he announced to him that the dinner is ready. Meanwhile, the iron-eating beast was already thinking of how he can rest after awakening the hardening ability, but he knew that he was behind his peers, and that made him want to meet Shi Yu that he wanted to train. As the Iron Eater said such, Shi Yu then saw that what Shi Yu said was right, that there was indeed something wrong about that iron-eating beast. So he asked the beast if he felt like it has not been trained yet. He then calmed the beast down and told him not to be in such a hurry, as that day's situation was special. So he told the beast that it will not matter if it take a good rest, as there was no equipment there for him to practice with for the time being. Shi Yu urged the beast to strive to quickly arm and harden a certain part in the shortest possible time, and Shi Yu also advised the beast to put things aside right then. Shi Yu already knew that he was self-disciplined enough, but his heart is illy tired, and so he have to earn money to buy practice equipment. He later remembered that he can actually cultivate green cotton worms, as long as the quality of the alien produced is better. Then the higher the purchase price will be. He, however, realized that his iron-eating beast can just walk the leaves of ordinary plants for then, and at that time, when the proficiency of its silkworm silk is piled up to the perfect level, then the quality of the silkworm silk will definitely not be low. Therefore, in that way, selling a bundle of worm silk can instantly relieve the financial pressure on the family. But eventually, his iron-eating beast fell down from exhaustion, which means that the beast is unwilling to eat until he finished training, and he has continued training after eating. So he thought his iron-eating beast to let them go back to the beast's familiar space to rest. The next morning, Shi Yu was seen happy because everything was back to normal, as the cooling time had been reset and all skills can be taught, which made him decide to try teaching hardened skills that day. He then checked the card if they have the supplements he wants before he starts teaching. Shi Yu still left his iron-eating beast to continue sleeping as he promised to let him go out after he himself had went out to do some shopping. Chapter 13 to 18. Chapter 13. Shi Yu approached Cotton Silkworm and apologized for forgetting to greet him. Shi Yu thought that this green cotton bug is really quite like Buddhist. Shi Yu got outside his apartment thinking that other green cotton worms all run to the nutritious plants pursuing growth and evolution. Fortunately, it has no pursuit at all, and comes to eat the leaves of persimmon tree in my house, and has nothing to do with the world. He wonders if his green cottons are starving. While walking on the road, he saw some more green cotton worms on the roadside. He came up with an idea that he will pick some more plants on the roadside to improve its food, because he cannot afford spiritual plants and precious fruits. He cannot let his future silk month supplier die too quickly because of starvation. When he entered the city, he saw that a lot had changed from his memory. He saw a person driving a cart with frozen wolves and thought it was a great idea to travel without pollution. Suddenly, he noticed a jewel cat running and noticed a human was running behind that cat and wondered if it was a human walking a cat or a cat walking a human. Most of them are cat owners, not the beast masters, and the two parties have not signed a contract. The pupil technique liability of the gem cats needs to be triggered by different types of cat eyes gems to obtain evolution. Gem cats without cat's eye gems can only be pets. He finally found the store he was looking for. He entered the store and a lady welcomed him. He asked the lady if silk can be purchased here, and the lady replied that the quality must be high grade, and after the component testing, if it is qualified, we can directly purchase it here. The green cotton worms have to be fed on several types of medicinal plants, and the lady gave him papers with different types of medicinal plants written on it. He was very excited to see the purchase price, but the loan has to be prepaid every month. The Iron Eater and Shi Yu can only last a year at most. Worm silk can make money as long as the worm silk of green cotton worm can be pushed to the perfect quality. The lady asked him if he was a beastmaster and if he was interested in selling worm silk, but he replied that he has not yet become a beastmaster. Then he asked the lady to bring him 2 bottles of that medicine. Chapter 14. Shi Yu has bought some medicines. This Mingxian capsule contains the raw materials that look like the material of several different kinds of plants like supernatural beings. The efficacy of this capsule is very simple as it is used to eliminate the symptoms of body weakness and enhance physical fitness. Using that capsule keeps the user awake in a weak state and feel at ease. The effects of this capsule are very good. Many beast masters like to take one after the battle. He was thinking that his current conditions do not allow him to take that medicine as QQ candy. But if he takes that medicine, it should be able to reduce the physical exertion of illustration teaching. He took that medicine and waited for the response, "Come on." He was looking more energetic than before too. He was thinking about the marvelous effects of beast space. Now the 11 wants to be trained. Shi Yu saying to 11 that you don't need to rush into training. Understand the balance between work and rest. And ask from the 11 that either you understood. That guy doesn't know the energy which is absorbed from the beast familiar space. He was terrified that part of it comes from me as a beast master. Think more for your own beast master. On the other hand, it is also necessary to meditate and strengthen the beast guarding space. He thought that along with that medicine, he also needs to use the skill book. Shi Yu said that wait for me to catch my breath and teach you about absolute sleep. Then you can train how you like. While teaching, he harshly said an illustrated book. A silkworm was looking at all that. Shi Yu was on his knees very sadly. He thought that the consumption gap between worm silk and hardening is not too large to be outrageous. Although it didn't pass out directly as imagined, that was so horrible. He was taking that capsule and felt better than before. Now 11 was experiencing that energy. Shi Yu was yelling on 11, "What are you doing?" 11 said, "I suddenly became super powerful. Your hardening skill proficiency is already at the proficiency level." Shi Yu said this time your combat power probably doubled. 11 asked Beastmaster, "What have you done to me?" Chapter 15. 11 was practicing in front of Shi Yu. Shi Yu was studying that although the stamina consumption is similar, The cooling time has been greatly increased, that is 24 hours. Shi Yu said to 11 that you have to rest for a day before you can carry out the next round of skill teaching, and now 11's hardening skills have reached the proficient level, and the durability and stability have improved a lot. 11 was thinking that now the time can be maintained for as half a minute. As far the retracting speed, it has also been improved. Shi Yu said no, the main training content of 11 is to be able to quickly use hardening weapons, and at the same time parts with hardening, do this key point well, and you will be able to have both offense and defense in battle. That's all the training content. There is still not training on hardening strength. After all, this family is too fragile to withstand the devastation. To train hardening strength, training equipment is essential for the training equipment of pets beasts. Does not seem to be cheap. And Shi Yu went out of the room by saying that anyway, I can't help 11th until the day over. So let's go out and see if there is a cost-effective training method to do a substitute. Shi Yu was thinking that the 11th current amount of training is really not small, and the consumption of the based master space is even greater. An alien was captured with the chains. The scale indicates how many beasts a beast master can contract. It is suitable for some beast masters who like to fight in groups and win by the number of pets. 11 was in the environment, determines the efficiency of pets digesting food, nutrition and combat experience in the space. The result is there, the better the environment, the faster the pet beast will grow. Shi Yu said, judging from the situation of me, and 11 the environment of pre-sale must be the main development direction. While passing from in front of the shops and streets, Shi Yu was thinking that 11 was born in formal breeding base. Unlike wild pets, there is almost no need to consider that its strength of the beast-fearing space. Shi Yu don't have an idea of contracting the second beast for the time being, and I don't need not worry about the scale of the feast monitoring space, for the priority is to build a more comfortable growth environment for the little iron-eating beast. At that time the beast master's face, while absolute sleep and 11th love, will train no matter what, and there will be no burden on the body with the help discipline of 11, and with the existence book, as long as the nutrition keeps up. The shopkeeper said, alas. But at that stage the cost of food will probability the super double. Chapter 16. And the next day was a sunny day. Shi Yu was to open the door, and he got the order the day before yesterday. He ordered high-strength alloy steel plate. If there is any quality problem, we will return, the merchant said. 11 was looking at the plates, and the workers were setting those plates. Shi Yu said, to check the quality problem, I will give it to my little 11 to test. He was thinking how time summoning is a bit different. How is it? 11 was in action. Shi Yu was happy that the fourth awakening showed enough. It is right to improve the environment of the beast familiar space first. That's one step closer to becoming a professional beastmaster. Well, I am going to buy some delicious food on the basis of the original food today. I will give you an extra meal to celebrate, Shi Yu said to 11. Shi Yu was teaching 11 that one more thing. Hardening intensity training can become, and also the environment here is not suitable for you to use hardening ability to destroy. I name this the fall training method and even vary the intensity of the training by adjusting the height of the jump. Wouldn't that be more useful than if I hit you with a mace? 11 was experienced in the power. Once you exercise until you can jump from the clouds without any damage, then you will be invisible. 11 was thinking, why I can't think of it. My beastmaster is really a genius. Silkworm was eating the leaves. 11 was showing after a high jump come back to the ground and was on foot. 11 was looking at his hands and then clapped. Shining stars were emerging from there. Shi Yu was sitting in the room and said, a lost steel plate training is very effective. 11's hardening skills have reached the proficient level. Along with the training, it is also 11's backup food. It already has the ability to eat and digest metal substances. The blue cottonworm has already awakened and transformed for the fourth time, reaching the fourth level of awakening. And now the worm's silk has also reached the proficient level, and its strength is comparable to that of fishing line. It can also be used as flexibly as human hands and feet. And the growth of green cottonworms has a promising future. Thanks to the supplement, I was able to train both 11 and green cottonworms in sync for the 10 days. 11 jumps on the alloy plates and broke them. She was happy. The current 11 hardening professional sees mystery level awakening level 5. The hardening skill can now flow freely and be used at the will of 11. Shi Yu was happy to see that 11 was eating that avoid till played and said to 11, "Stop training in the afternoon. Take a good rest at noon. Eat more, then we will go to actual combat." Chapter 17. 11 was thinking, what is actual combat? For a pet animal, there are only 3 ways to grow: food, train, and fight. Shi Yu was talking to 11. At this stage, for me and 11, fighting doesn't need that kind of life and death battle. Shi Yu was standing in the street and thinking, life-threatening a place I will never go. With the skill book in hand, I must develop. This is the map of the places so far, and they will soon be able to go to the wild to fight against more powerful creatures. The bus stopped at the station, and as he arrived there, somebody said, "Hello, is there anything I can do for you?" Shi Yu said, "I want to play a battle, but it's my first time here. Can you give me a brief introduction?" The coordinator briefly described, "We provide battle venues below the extraordinary level in the battlefield hall." She showed the map and said, "Here you can choose between agreed battles or random battles." The coordinator explained to 11, among them, the random battle is divided into 2 groups according to the level of Beastmaster's pets. From level 1 to 6 and level 7 to 10, we will match you with opponents within a suitable level range based on your pet's level. No matter which mode it is, the venue usage fee is 100 yuan per person. Shi Yu said, 100 yuan is so expensive, enough for me for 3 days' food bills. But however, thinking about venue maintenance fees, referee fees, and even medical expenses, the coordinator interrupted, "This price seems to be normal. If this kind of venue is not officially supported, it may charge even more." She continued, "Oh, by the way, there is also a gambling contract. That is, the person who loses the battle needs to pay 200 yuan, while the winner is free." 11 said, "I choose a random battle and the level range of pets." 11 was facing his opponents, thinking, in order to save a small amount of money, I can only feel sorry for my opponent. If I lose, I will only have to recognize it. I hope the opponent is very weak, but not too weak. The coordinator gave the form for the information. "Okay, here. Please fill out the form." Shi Yu said, "Sorry, this is out of business. Is there one way to make money here?" The coordinator handed over the card number to Shi Yu. Shi Yu thanked the coordinator. "Shi Yu, please go to the battlefield on the 11th. The card number was 4399 for Shi Yu. Then there was another announcement. 4401 ID number Shen Kai. Please go to the battlefield on the 11th. Upon seeing Chen Kai, Shi Yu said, "He is my opponent." The battle was started. The battle was about to begin, both Beastmasters standing in front of each other. Chapter 18. Shi Yu stood on the battlefield, calling out to his opponent. The battle had begun. 11, standing beside her Beastmaster Shi Yu, appeared furious. The 2 pets for the interview were introduced. 11's pet, named Iron Eater, had a gold attribute and an awakening level of 5. It possessed high-speed healing. Chen Kai, the opponent Beastmaster, stood confidently with his pet, a beast with an ice attribute. It was of medium extraordinary growth at awakening level 6 and was an armor professional. Its racial skill was ice armor. As the showdown unfolded, an audience gathered outside the battle playground. One spectator said, "Ah, Yu, there seems to be a battle over there about to begin." Yu replied, "That person is Chen Kai, and the other one. Does he look familiar?" The first person asked, "Is there someone you know?" Yu explained, "Well, that person is my classmate. He's very powerful." The first person inquired, "Who was stronger between you and him?" Yu replied, "I can't compare. There are few in the whole grade better than him. His beast has reached level 6, and he is very proficient in using the racial skills, ice armor." The first person nodded, "I see. So, do you know his opponent?" Yu considered. The opponent's beast is an iron, just like yours. I think its growth level is less than level 6. It might have a tough time. After all, the master's professional level hardening skills are quite formidable. Breaking through the defenses won't be easy. The Iron Eater beast is typically lazy. Even if it reaches the professional syllabus, it may not be able to compete with the ice armor. 11, lying on the ground, remarked, "If I could choose again, I would definitely not choose an Iron Eater. Despite its cuteness, it's too lazy and painful to train. Even if it reaches professional level, it may not be able to compete against ice armor." Shi Yu pondered. All in all, the overall quality of adult Iron Eater beasts is stronger than that of adult ice-armored beasts. 11 added, "But that was an adult. This Iron Eater is obviously still a cub." The referee chimed in, "The outbreak is good. The cultivation is very good. It is worthy of being a student of a key school." Shi Yu encouraged 11, hardening. 11, looking furious, continued to battle. Chen Kai, on the other hand, was alarmed as he realized that his ice claw had shattered. Shi Yu cheered 11 on, "Fight back." 11's ice beast quickly used ice armor and delivered a powerful punch, tearing the opponent's beast into pieces. Shi Yu wore a satisfied expression, while Chen Kai appeared frightened, wondering how this turn of events could have happened. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and becoming a subscriber to our channel. We have tons of other reviews and discussions on other manga, so be sure to watch them all to remain current.
Knocking the armadillo into the wall, shocking Shinkai immensely, while Shiryu was delighted of this outcome, since the performance of Hardened in actual combat has exceeded his expectations. If he knew that this would happen, he wouldn't have inspired 11's fighting spirits with its dinner. And it even surprises him that the match is over already, since this isn't what he expected when he signed up for a battle against an evenly matched opponent. With this, he decides to look for a stronger opponent after this, to further test 11's at the same time. The referee couldn't believe what happened, seeing Harden at the proficient level by a young level 5 Iron Eater. Even Yu was shocked because of this, making her disown Shinkai as her classmate, while she was intrigued at the identity of Shinkai's opponent, since it's unbelievable for a level 5 Iron Eater to master Harden to the proficient level, so she wonders if the beasts have an amazing talent, or if that tamer is actually a high-ranking tamer who's a new pet beast. It's either that, or he's from a rich family or a family of tamers with top-grade supplements or unique training methods, as she hopes that this won't break Shinkai's spirit. Meanwhile, Shinkai was in shock about what happened, and upon looking at that Iron Eater again, who was happily waving at him, he realized that society is full of monsters, and the school is the only place for him, while 11 is happily posing because he saw his efforts of waking up at 4 a.m. to touch a steel board come into fruition. After that, the referee declared Shi Yu and 11 to be the winner, which delighted them immensely. Shi Yu unsummoned 11 to have its well-deserved rest. Suddenly, Shinkai interacted with Shi Yu, asking him if he was also a tamer from Pingcheng, or perhaps a student. He didn't mean to be rude, he just wanted to know who he lost to, since his strength was unbelievable. Luckily, Shi Yu didn't mind his questions, so he tells him who he was, and states that he graduated in Glacier City, which surprises Shinkai, since Pingcheng District is only the suburbs of Glacier City, so it's only natural that the educational quality is lower than that of the city. Therefore, some students with outstanding academic achievements would do all they can to enroll in schools in the city, while he is an outstanding student in Pingcheng. Compared to a student from the city, he is nothing. Still, he can't quite understand the difference between them, so he assumes that Shi Yu must be one of the most outstanding young tamers in the city. With this, he realized that there is always someone better than him, so he decided to work harder. But as soon as Shi Yu left the place, Shinkai realized something didn't add up about what Shi Yu had said, since he was also going to graduate soon, and graduation was 1 month away. But Shi Yu said that he graduated recently. The referee noticed that Shinkai was referring to the graduation timing of the battle major, so he clarifies that the other majors such as referee, medical, and breeding have graduates sooner due to their internships and job placements. This shocked him immensely, because the one that defeated him wasn't even a battle major. And to add to his troubles, the referee reminds him that his ice armadillo needs treatment. And also, this was a gambling battle, so he will have to pay for his opponent's fees. Meanwhile, Shi Yu was surprised that he couldn't challenge opponents of a higher level, to which the worker reminded him that those are the rules. Tamers will be grouped according to the levels of their pet beasts, and this is because his opponent might not want to battle someone weaker than them, which disappoints him. Since he knows that everyone already saw the battle, he just easily won with his Iron Eater. That has a combat enhancement of the proficient level Harden, so it will be difficult for him to find a match unless it's someone from the level 7 to 10 category. But this wasn't a dead end, as the worker suggested that he could choose to battle someone he knows, and he could rent an arena, and they would provide him with the other services. Unfortunately, Shi Yu was an introvert, so he didn't even know where to look for an opponent, and he doesn't know anyone there. Therefore, he just thanked the worker and left the place to head towards the Tamers Association, since it also serves the role of accepting and announcing missions with rewards, in which the Tamers can take on missions there and be rewarded once they're completed. And the list of missions has already been curated for interned Tamers, so Tamers will be put to the test in these missions. It is similar to the wilderness training organized once every 3 months by the Tamers Association and Pingcheng for interned Tamers, and these programs are meant to train local interned Tamers, since every city wants to have more professional Tamers that are also capable. This means missions and wilderness training sessions are meant to help interned Tamers build their foundations, while missions below the transcendent rank are focused on training Tamers and their pet beasts. Mainly, they are meant to provide training venues for the interned Tamers, so missions like those are tiring and unrewarding. He might be able to earn more by having his pet beasts transport bricks, but it's more important to find a suitable opponent from these missions than earning money. Even if he can't find a suitable opponent, he can still find missions suitable for Eleven's training. Shi Yu is adamant about doing this because he considers Eleven's mental and physical health, so he can't let it train at home all the time, since having him jump off a building day after day will certainly mess with his mind, and he noticed that 11 was clearly delighted with this. He went ahead and looked at the 1-star mission first. However, this just surprised him at best, because it is a mission that requires him to catch organized stray cats that became a thief syndicate. But considering the intelligence levels of some transcendent beasts, it's entirely possible for them to form a syndicate, so it made Shi Yu wonder what they stole instead, and he passed on this quest because of how absurd it was, as he went over to the next mission. But to his dismay, the mission was searching for a wind-type pet for a sparring buddy, so he also passes on it. With this, an hour has passed by already, but Shi Yu hasn't decided on what mission he would take, since none of them are suitable for 11, and some of the missions are clearly aiming to hire tamers as cheap labor, like the capturing of live wind locusts mission for example, which a local restaurant issued it. Even though wind locusts are transcendent beasts, they are agricultural pests, and they are also a delicacy, and it's cheaper for them to procure locusts in this way rather than purchasing them from the breeders. The only disadvantage is that it's less efficient this way, but this is clearly not an urgent mission with a time limit, so this mission seems suitable. But 11 can't fly, which means it will be difficult for him to complete this mission, because wind locusts can use the skill Wind Wing. Also, they're fast and nimble, while 11 could only harden its entire body to deal with the ice armadillo's swift attack. And 11's reaction speed and eyesight will prove disadvantageous against swift and nimble opponents. Surprisingly, with this, Shi Yu realized that he should teach 11 Super Sight next time, because an Iron Eater's explosive strength coupled with Super Sight that enables it to precisely pinpoint its opponent's attacks will definitely improve 11's combat strength. And after teaching 11 Super Sight, he can let it take on this mission to train its reflexes, so he looks at the next mission with high hopes. Luckily, this mission seems to be more suitable at the moment, since Earth Rats are at the bottom of the pet beast world, and their race skill is Earth Escape, which only enables them to escape underground. And in terms of combat strength, Earth Rats are on par with stray dogs, so adults can even take them on with weapon in hand. However, Earth Rats reproduce quickly, so there's usually too many of them. Also, they are nimble and would band together when under threat, so the threat of the rats cannot be judged based on their levels alone. Fortunately, their usual course of action is to escape whenever they encounter another creature, unless they have no other choice. Otherwise, they would have been a greater nuisance. Even so, they're worse than wind locusts. There are fewer of them in the city, they are abundant in the villages, and it's difficult to get rid of them completely, giving everyone a headache. So several villages in Pinking District collectively issue the Earth Rat Extermination Mission. It's a long-term mission. Tamers would form parties and go exterminate the rats every day. With this, Shi Yu chose to take this mission, even though exterminating earth rats might not be easier than capturing wind locusts alive. This might be a good opportunity to train 11's reflexes, since 11 will have to locate the earth rats and take them out before they escape, just like in the game Whack-a-Mole. Shi Yu believes that this is for the better, since 11's hardened is already at the proficient level, so it's the right time to work on something else for a change. Coincidentally, Chen Kai was also there, so he interacted with him without hesitations, while Chen Kai was wondering what kind of missions would an elite like Shi Yu take on. So he asked Shi Yu in order to learn from his choices, but to his surprise, it was exterminating moles, which Shi Yu will be doing it all on his own. This reaction of his confused Shi Yu, so he asks him what the problem was, to which he explained that people usually take on this mission as a group, since earth rats are cunning. Hence, it's easier to take them out when working with others. As he finished explaining, he noticed the opportunity to be with this expert, so he didn't hesitate to ask if he could form a party with him, which weirded out Shi Yu, because to his knowledge, he is not a beautiful lady, and he destroyed Chen Kai in their last battle, so he believes that there is no reason for him to do this. Therefore, he tried to decline his offer in a kindly manner, telling him that the two of them won't make that much of a difference. But Chen Kai was dense as fuck, so he didn't catch on the joining. So he states that he will ask 2 of his classmates to join them, so one of them can stall the rats, while others will attack. This way it will be more efficient, to which Shi Yu thinks that it was an overkill, so Chen Kai clarifies that a handful of earth rats are nothing to be afraid of, but if they gather in huge numbers, it will be a pain to deal with them. Therefore, Shi Yu realized that it might not be a bad idea to form a party. Also, he can't be a recluse forever, so he accepts Chen Kai's proposal to be a standard 4-member party, which made Chen Kai excited, since all he wanted is to see how Shi Yu trains his pet beast, just how well he can train a lazy iron eater. At a later time, Shi Yu returns to the 100 Herbs Hall, which surprises the worker, since this is his 3rd visit this month, as he wonders what he's doing for a living. At the same time, Shi Yu notices the suspicion on the worker's face, so he reasons out that his pet beast has been training and battling a lot lately, and he has always had a frail physique since young, so he needs the pill. But the worker didn't buy his bullshit. However, he still gave Shi Yu the supplements he asked for, since Shi Yu was his best client, while Shi Yu is now contemplating switching to another supplier to protect his reputation. A few moments later, Shi Yu and 11 are eating like crazy. After that, they are full of energy, so Shi Yu immediately commands 11 to come closer to him, because it's time for him to learn a new skill, which disheartened 11. After all, he has always wanted to say that he is strong because of his own hard work. However, he can never bring himself to say that right now, as Shi Yu is teaching him super sight, which he can activate it by using mental energy. With this, his eyesight should be boosted, and he should be able to see clearly at night. So after Shi Yu was done, 11 went out to see how effective his new skill was, and to his surprise, the skill was super effective, which delighted him so, because now, it would be easier for him to train at night. With this, he will make up for all the slacking off he has been doing. Meanwhile, Shi Yu was shocked that his skill handbook now had a 48 hours cooldown. But seeing 11 with such a high spirit, he decided not to mind it and just focus on recovering, as he hoped 11 wouldn't be crashing onto steel boards tonight so that he can get a good night's rest. Meanwhile, at Chen Kai's residence, Chen Kai was chatting with his classmates, asking to join him in taking on the Earth Rat mission tomorrow. But to his surprise, Shi Yu replies to him, saying that she saw him at the arena, which made him spit out his drink. With this, he panically replied back, feigning ignorance. Unfortunately for him, US saw everything. Now Chen Kai realized that his reputation is ruined, because if she really saw exactly what happened to him at the arena, this means that all the girls in class will know about it as well. And this also means that the entire class will know that he was defeated by a random guy. And to add more to his surprises, Yu was inquiring if he knows who that tamer was, because she is thinking of getting some Iron Eater rearing tips from him, but he left too early and she couldn't catch up to him. To which Chen Kai responds that she has to come to the right person, since they are in need of 2 members, as he asks Yu to find another tamer with a control-type pet beast, because they have enough attacking power already. The next day, they met up at their designated meeting place. However, Shi Yu was deprived of sleep, not because of 11, since he did do him the favor of sleeping last night, but because the after effects of skill teaching were too strong, and as they are wondering where the others were, they coincidentally arrived, greeting them casually, so Chen Kai introduced them to Shi Yu as Shi Yu, his classmate, and the other girl who was Yu's friend, a tamer from the experimental middle school, Yu Jingjing, to which Shi Yu politely says hello to them. But surprisingly, Shi Yu already rinsed them up, as the girls are already calling him master, which confuses him because to his knowledge he didn't do anything. So Chen Kai explains to them why, telling him that they witnessed their match yesterday. Now that is settled, Chen Kai tells them to introduce their beasts, so they do just that. Chen Kai with his ice armadillo, Yu with her level 6 Iron Eater that is hardened at the beginner level, which she was ashamed of since Shi Yu's Iron Eater already surpassed hers in terms of skill level, and Jingjing's level 6 Brambles, which has entangles at the experienced level. And lastly, Shi Yu's level 5 Iron Eater that has a harden at the proficient level, which they couldn't imagine how it was possible. While Shi Yu noticed how dumbfounded his teammates were about his pet beast, but he is sure that their question will be answered once they see how hardworking 11 is. With that, they all register themselves for the mission to depart at 8 AM sharp. As they were traveling, Chen Kai remembered that Shi Yu recently graduated, so he asked Shi Yu if he really wasn't a battle major, to which Shi Yu told him that his assumptions were correct. He is a breeding major, because fighting and killing are too gruesome for him, and he believes that mastering how to breed beasts is the way forward. So it's normal for a tamer like him with a breeding major to produce an Iron Eater with harden at the proficient level. But only shock can be seen on their faces, as they were still processing what he just said. A few moments later, they arrived at their destination, to which the workers were especially delighted to welcome them, since they were there to exterminate the rats, and the workers didn't even waste a single second to give them their gear, which Shi Yu appreciates their passion. But now they were all alone. They wondered where are they even supposed to start. With no choice, Shi Yu asks for them to summon their pet beasts first, as he thought 11's super sight would be paramount to locate the earth rats in such a complex environment, while the others happily obliged since this is what they came here for. With this, all their pets met each other, and now that Yu got a closer look of Shi Yu's Iron Eater, she asks if he got his pet beast from the Iron Bamboo breeding base as well, since this Iron Eater's growth is perfect, and judging by the sheen of its fur or its physique, it seems to be in good health, so it is more likely that Shi Yu is an apprentice of the Bamboo Rock Gem, to which Shi Yu denies it. These two places are nurturing Iron Eaters, but they are also different, since the Iron Bamboo breeding base is where the Iron Eaters are bred, while the Bamboo Rock Gem is a dedicated training location for tamers with Iron Eaters, and the current leader of the Bamboo Rock Gem is a Grand Master level tamer who focuses on raising Iron Eaters. His Iron Eater has electric and fire type moves. Aside from harden, he has a unique way of raising Iron Eaters. He's said to be the tamer who knows how to raise Iron Eaters the best in Glacier City, which is why Yu was convinced that Shi Yu was a disciple of the Bamboo Rock Gem. And Chen Kai adds that Gym Leader Lin must be the most powerful tamer in Ping Chen. That is because the Bamboo Rock Gym Leader Lin is a Grand Master tamer, and before someone gets to the Grand Master level, they need to pass through intern level and professional level, and the professional level is further divided into the early, middle, and late stages, so it is a feat that few can achieve. While Jing's not sure if Gym Leader Lin is the most powerful tamer, but his daughter is the youngest professional tamer in Ping Chen. She passed the professional exam when she was 18. Then she enrolled in one of the 9 major academies. She should have graduated by now, to which Yu had told her that Jing's information was outdated, since Lin Shuyu took up a breeding major and she's now back in Ping Chen. She even helped her pick her Iron Eater, because she said that she studied breeding because she wanted to research if Iron Eaters could possibly. However, they think that's a difficult research, because even the Grand Master Lin has been raising Iron Eaters all his life, but he found no evidence suggesting that Iron Eaters could evolve, so it seems like this is as far as Iron Eaters can go. But as they were conversing, Shi Yu and 11 notice some movements underground, to which Shi Yu commands them to stop the chit-chat and move, so they did just that. Using their goggle, Chen Kai judged it by its size, so it's not much of a threat. The challenge now is to take it out before it reacts and escapes, and because earth rats are more sensitive to temperature than sound or light, Jing tells them that it might notice the Iron Eaters and the ice armadillo if they get near to it, so she will let her brambles get close to it while pretending to be a plant and catch it with entangle. However, the rat was more nimble than expected, so it has managed to dodge her entangle. Even Chen Kai's armadillo wasn't enough to block its path. However, the rat soon realized that he fucked up as it sees 11 doing its superhero landing. With this, they have managed to tie it on Bramble's vine, while the other tamers was in shock as they wondered what kind of power have they witnessed, because it was like something fell from the skies. They were even convinced that they could take on a whole horde of earth rats with this Iron Eater. After that, they then decide to put this under Shi Yu's score, since, without his Iron Eater, that earth rat would have almost certainly escaped. And now they realized that they had underestimated the reflexes of iron rats. Even with Jing's brambles, a natural predator in the wild couldn't catch the earth rat right away. So she noticed that they still have some training to do, while the others gave a thumbs up to Shi Yu for his excellent pet beast. While Shi Yu is in deep thought, thinking about the reward for exterminating a single earth rat is only slightly more than $10. So if they exterminate 100 earth rats in a day, they will barely break even, considering 11's exertion and nutritional requirements. However, he decides not to be bothered by it, since the important thing now is to train 11's super sight. So he tells the others to stick to their plan and split up, which they agreed, because they should be able to move faster since this farm and the forest area are too huge. With this, they formed a plan, which they would split up and deal with any lone earth rats on their own, and if they ran into a horde of them, they would call out to the others and think of a plan. It will be better for them to work together when it comes to that, and see who can take out more earth rats. But Yu wasn't excited about finding out about her score, because with her Iron Eater, she is sure to get last place, as she wonders why she feels that her Iron Eater and Shi Yu's Iron Eater aren't of the same species. Meanwhile, Shi Yu is now alone, so he talks to 11 to aim for 20 rats before noon, but to his surprise, 11 disagrees with him, and that is because he wants to take out 200, knowing that he couldn't get in the way of 11's determination. Shi Yu just reminded 11 that he couldn't go around destroying the farmland or the fruit trees, because if he caused any damage, he would have to pay for them, and the money would come out of the budget for his food. Also, they won't be training with Harden today, since their main aim is to sharpen his reflexes and his physique, so he should be taking out earth rats without using skills. He was serious about reminding 11, since he knew what he could do. This guy could break steel boards, so they might destroy the fruit trees and farmland if they were not careful. And to make sure that 11 would take this seriously, he told him that he would use the reward to buy him extra food. With this, 11 immediately sprints over to do his job, while being as careful as possible. This even astonished the worker, as he couldn't believe that 11 was really an Iron Eater, since he had never seen one like it for as long as he had lived. While 11 stops for a second to ask his tamer, why won't he teach him Earth Escape? If you are new to the channel, some of you watching are not already subscribed, and if that's you, and you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all good content like this, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 1,000,000 subs. And if you enjoy the video, or if you found it interesting, let me know by dropping a like and comment on it as well, would be seriously appreciated. Shi Yu, with a smirk, acknowledged the change in 11's attitude towards acquiring skills effortlessly, recognizing the newfound appreciation for the practicality of learning more. 11, crossing his arms, implied to his tamer that the idea was originally his own, urging Shi Yu to simply teach him the skill that would be immediately beneficial. However, Shi Yu clarified that Earth Escape wouldn't be part of 11's training, reserving skill slots for rarer abilities. Moments later, the worker, struggling to keep pace with 11's swift movements, requested a slowdown due to his aging bones, while others returned from their hunt, surprised that 11 was still actively engaged. After more than 2 hours, they inquired about 11's seemingly boundless energy, prompting Shi Yu to explain that constant eating and training were integral to Iron Eater's routine, making the current activity relatively easy. To Jinkai's amazement, 11 had already captured 22 rats, averaging one every 5 minutes. Curious about Shi Yu's apparent change in spirits, Jinkai questioned the earlier perception that Shi Yu wasn't in peak condition. Shi Yu revealed his secret, senza bean-like supplements that worked wonders, leaving the others astonished. Observing the professional tamer, Jinkai realized that dedication plays a crucial role in success, surpassing mere talent. During a conversation with Shi Yu, Jinkai shared their accomplishments in capturing rats, 7 for Jinkai, 6 for Jingjing, and only 2 for Yu due to her Iron Eater's perceived incompetence. However, 11, proud of his uniqueness, defended his abilities. Despite Yu's disappointment, an old man assured her that her Iron Eater was exceptional and efficient. During lunch, Yu marveled at 11's continuous work and questioned Shi Yu about his pet's unyielding dedication. Shi Yu explained that 11's behavior contributed to mastering Harden's skills. This revelation made Chen Kai recognize the exceptional commitment of professional tamers in the city. Curious, Chen Kai inquired about Shi Yu's training methods, assuming all tamers in the city were as diligent. Shi Yu, feeling uneasy about the exaggeration, hesitated to reveal the real reason behind 11's work ethic. Despite Shi Yu's reluctance, Chen Kai and Jingjing expressed their determination to improve and learn from Shi Yu's example, inspired by his and 11's dedication. In the midst of hope-filled gazes, the assumption that they had unraveled the secret to Shi Yu's strength brimmed in their eyes. However, Shi Yu, perspiring profusely, knew they had misunderstood him profoundly. Despite his attempts to set the record straight, he found himself unable to convince them otherwise. Resigned, he wished them the best of luck. Chen Kai inquired if Shi Yu was gearing up for the professional breeder examination, to which Shi Yu clarified that it wasn't the case. Despite his major in breeding, his current focus was on the professional tamer examination. Shi Yu harbored the ambition of undertaking this path, realizing that the role of a professional breeder could potentially bring immense wealth. However, the revelation of his exceptional talents posed a significant risk, as the hierarchical structure among tamers and the market monopolies by large corporations loomed over him. In a world where factions and nations vied for dominance, even tamers engaged in cutthroat competition. Shi Yu's cautious approach stemmed from the dual threats of human adversaries and highly intelligent transcendent beasts seeking to expand their territories. He recognized the necessity of restraining his skill-teaching abilities until he acquired the means to protect himself. Passing the professional tamer examination became imperative for survival, providing him with access to higher-level beasts and skills. Chen Kai speculated that Shi Yu might be planning to take the examination in 2 years, given the next scheduled date and the current level of their beasts. The first round of the professional tamer examination demanded transcendent ranked pet beasts, which should be at least level 10. Chen Kai presumed that, with the current state of their beasts, a 2-year preparation period seemed logical. However, Shi Yu surprised everyone by revealing his intention to take the exam within the year. Financial constraints drove his urgency, as Shi Yu was well aware that his modest savings couldn't sustain his lifestyle for long. Boldly aiming to acquire his license sooner rather than later, Shi Yu's declaration shocked the others, especially considering his Iron Eater had recently reached only level 5. The leap to transcendent rank posed a formidable challenge, and many beasts struggled to overcome this hurdle. Shi Yu's determination to navigate this path despite the odds left the group in disbelief. However, Shi Yu was not thinking of reaching the transcendent rank, since he also knew that it would be difficult. But there shouldn't be a problem for it to reach level 10, since beasts below the transcendent rank can still take part in the professional examination. And that is the privileges of being strong, which he was talking about the special examination, the one where a tamer challenges a beast with a higher rank. With this, if his Iron Eater can't reach the transcendent rank, they still have this option, so it will be a walk in the park to challenge a beast of higher rank if his beast has a high-level mastery of high-level skills. Now shock fills Chen Kai's face, as Shi Yu was just spitting facts, while he realizes that Shi Yu is way out of his league, and is planning far ahead compared to him, and with greater detail at that. With this, he decides to increase the intensity of his Ice Armadillo's training when he gets back. Unexpectedly, a siren suddenly went off, alarming everyone who heard it. They were then informed that the city had issued a rampage warning, code yellow, because a number of beasts were already making their way toward the wall, and they were expected to increase in numbers, which the other workers hurriedly take appropriate action according to the defense manual. With this, Chen Kai and Jingjing were in a panic, as the elderly worker advises them to make their way home. But before that, Chen Kai inquires about what the meaning of that announcement was, to which the elder responds that he is not so sure himself, but he is sure that the beasts on Snowy Mountain are stirring again, and code yellow sounds serious to him. So if this escalates, they might have to evacuate. But Shi Yu was calm as ever, since he knows that there is no cause to be flustered yet. Unlike the situation a decade ago, there is now a tall wall separating the Snowy Mountain and Pinking District, and the Tamer Army, under the Tamers Association, is stationed on both sides of the wall. They are their first line of defense against a rampage, and the warning is only meant to notify the villagers about the situation. It doesn't mean that there will be danger, so if there is a risk of the wall being breached, it won't just be code yellow. While Chen Kai saw that Shi Yu and he were calm, Chen Kai assumes that there is no reason to be worried, so he also calms himself down, as he stupidly suggests to go where the monster was and take a look for themselves, which Yu aggressively refused, while the others couldn't believe he just said that. Then, Shi Yu suggests for them to head back for now, since they can take on this mission whenever they want to, and they should ask about this warning after they get back to the Tamers Association. Soon after, they arrived at the Tamers Association, but to their dismay, the worker wasn't also sure about it himself. However, this doesn't seem to be the first time that this has happened this month. It was code blue for the 2 warnings before this. Luckily, Mr. Zhan, their teacher, arrived at the scene, and that is because he was in the area when he saw their messages in the group chat. So he thought of coming to take a look, but he didn't expect to run into them, while Shi Yu was shocked to find out how they were chatting in a group that the teacher was also in. This was a group chat awaiting disaster if someone accidentally messaged a horrendous meme in there, and Chenkai introduced them to his teacher. He told them that he might have an idea about the rampage warning, but before they could discuss it, he suggested that they talk somewhere else, since it was too noisy at their current location. As they were walking, Shi Yu was in deep thought, thinking if things did get dangerous, he should make preparations so that he could escape to the city with 11, since it's not safe here in the suburbs, while Mr. Zhan tells them that there is no need to be worried. Since things are very different now compared to 10 years ago, the defensive structures around the snowy mountain are well built. Even if the situation gets dangerous, the Tamers Association will be able to react quickly. If the members here in Pingjing can't handle things on their own, the tamers from the city will be dispatched here. If the city's tamer army can't hold the beasts back, the tamer armies from the surrounding cities will swiftly send in reinforcements. Currently, the creatures on the snowy mountain aren't a threat to Glacier City, so even if there's a possibility of another rampage, at the moment, it's only a small-scale gathering of beasts, so it's not as grand as the sudden incident that took place 10 years ago. Suddenly, Shi Yu asks Mr. Zhan, what is the reason behind this? Because the beasts should all be ice types. They should prefer the environment on the snowy mountain compared to the city. Also, the textbooks tell them that the main reasons for rampages are shortages of food, resources, and fierce competition. But surely these aren't the main reasons for what's happening on the snowy mountain. After all, rampages are usually predictable, but the one that happened without warning 10 years ago was an anomaly. Hearing Shi Yu ask this, Mr. Zhan couldn't agree more. However, they are not sure about the reason, so the trigger that brought forth the rampage 10 years ago was still a mystery. But if he asked to make a guess, you will say that the city officials already have an answer, as he asks if they know about Glacier City's history, which they weren't, as they were clearly invested in listening to his statements. So Mr. Zhan continues and clarifies to them that it's not exactly a history. To be exact, it's only a bunch of guesses at the moment, but according to archaeological findings, snowy mountains did not exist around Glacier City 2,000 years ago. This was the territory of a developed tamer tribe during that time. But an ice dragon came and landed on a nearby mountain. The ice dragon was powerful, so even though it was only living in the area, it triggered the start of the Ice Age, and this gave the tamer tribe a huge headache. So the tamer tribe decided to drive the ice dragon away and marched against it. With this, the great battle lasted for days on the mountain. It's even said that the snowy mountain was formed during that time. But fortunately, the tamer tribe won, since there's an ice dragon ruin on the snowy mountain. It's even rumored that the remains of the ice dragon are sealed inside. The tamers back then were the ones who sealed the remains, and even if it was already 2,000 years ago, the dragon roars can still be heard from time to time near the ruin. But the icy dragon should be completely dead by now. So there's speculation that the sealed ice dragon has taken spectral form and is influencing the beasts on the mountain. And its dragon aura is making the beasts go crazy and exact revenge on the human settlements. This story scared Jingjing so much, as she attempted to cling to Shi Yu for comfort, but Shi Yu wouldn't be caught lacking like that. So he calmly prevented her from doing so, while the others were terrified the same way. And to further back up his claims, Mr. Zhang then points towards the statue, informing them that it's one of the artifacts the archaeologists dug up. It's said that the stone giant is the tribe's totem. So Shi Yu asks if did the tribe defeat the ice dragon with this. But to his surprise, a mysterious voice responds to him instead, telling him that's not how it was. And upon further investigating his surroundings, he was shocked to find out it came from the statue. However, to add more to his confusions, this statue has no signs of life, and telepathy should only enable him to listen to the voices of living creatures. And if there's something wrong with this statue, it wouldn't be placed here, as the statue keeps on repeating itself, telling him that's not how it was. Jingjing noticed Shi Yu's troubled expression, so she didn't hesitate to ask if he was okay, to which she responded that it was nothing to be worried about, because he was just admiring the statue, which relieved them. While Shi Yu was still in deep thought because of the interaction with the statue, and it felt exactly the same as when he is using telepathy, but it doesn't look like transcendent creature at all, since this is nothing but a statue made in the image of a rock giant a long time ago, so it made him wonder if it turned into a spirit or something. However, if it evolved into a transcendent creature, the other tamers should have noticed it by now, because this is a busy area, so high-level beasts are common in the vicinity of the Tamers Association, and there are also plenty of tamers who can use telepathy. As Shi Yu was in deep thought, Mr. Zhang parted ways with them, since he still had something else to attend to, and so Chen Kai suggested going back to hunt earth rats. However, Shi Yu now has other plans because of the statue, therefore, he hurriedly leaves them before they can even further convince him to stay, which disappoints Chen Kai, since he was still hoping to bond with Shi Yu, and he didn't even get his contact. A few moments later, Shi Yu was now inside the Pingjing District Library, and was reading books to learn about the history of his current world. With this, he now knows that this world's history can be largely divided into 3 eras. They are the Legends era, Totem era, and Taming era. The Legends era was when the first legendary beasts were born and when they ruled the planet. The Totem era was when humans came into the picture and lived in a noble existence in the territories of powerful beasts. The Taming era is when humans started mastering the art of taming, and the Taming era can be divided into ancient and modern times as well, which the turning point happened more than a century ago. 7 human nations formed an alliance, but there is a lot of missing information due to some specific reasons. For example, there is no explanation for the disappearance of the first legendary beasts, and the story about what happened in Glacier City 2,000 years ago isn't verified yet. With this, he couldn't find what he was looking for, but there was plenty of information on other things. However, he was convincing himself not to be curious and just leave the place, because he was already an archaeologist in his past life. And by some twist of fate, he stumbled upon an unknown branch of mythology. His curiosity drove him to change his career, and he became a mythologist. Then, exploring ruins in this unknown branch of mythology became his daily routine. And one fateful day, the mountain collapsed on him while he was exploring a ruin, and he was buried alive, which he transmigrated hereafter. Now that he got a chance at a second life, he was double-guessing his decisions as he tried to convince himself further not to do this, asking himself why he couldn't just stay at home and play games or enjoy his comics, why he had to go around researching dangerous sites. In any case, he has transmigrated to this world, which is even more dangerous. But all he wants now is to live a fuller life in a safer environment. He wants to enjoy his current life, even though there seem to be more mysteries surrounding this world's history, and there is a more realistic mythological system. He can't follow in his past life's footsteps, so he closed the book he was reading and left the place. But to his dismay, he was now in front of the statue, asking it if it talked to him during the day. But the statue didn't respond, so he asked the statue again if it was trying to say that the version of history that guy told them was wrong. However, the statue remained silent, making Shi Yu irritated instead, so he threatened that he would leave if it was not going to say anything. He was doing this since the version of history Mr. Zhang told them was based on inferences without any proof. So he tries again, but with more heart as he asks it to tell him so that he can tell the truth. With this, the statue reacts and starts to shake. But to his surprise, it reveals a crack instead, and broke itself to pieces, while a bolt of purple lightning emerges from it and a loud bang follows soon after, completely shocking Shi Yu. Now he realized that he would be just damned if he does any archaeological work again, since this line of work is too dangerous. It's even more dangerous than being a tamer, as he runs away while shouting Eleven's name to come and save him. Meanwhile, everyone in town has noticed this ruckus that Shi Yu made. Even the higher-ups in other districts and members of the association have noticed that something was off. A few moments later, Shi Yu was sweating like crazy while he fed Eleven all the bamboo it could eat, hoping that Eleven would grow up quickly, to better protect the both of them. To which Eleven likes this treatment a lot, while Shi Yu is having a mental breakdown inside, thinking of what he just did. So he decides to stay at home before he finds out what happened, and he won't go out unless it's to buy vegetables and medicine. Then he looks at the worm to tell it to do the same as Eleven, as he needed it to eat to make more silk, since he is still recovering from teaching Supersight yesterday. And something like this happened. The next day, Eleven is doing alright as he greets Shi Yu with a smile, while Shi Yu is in deep thought, thinking about how he has not taught Eleven Intimidate and Absolute Slumber yet, since those are high-level skills, so it will surely wear him out more. Therefore, he decides to wait and see for now, and focus on raising the mastery levels of the learned skills instead. Shi Yu then calls out the cotton worm, telling it to be Eleven's training partner today, and that it can have extra food as a reward. He decided this, since the cotton worm can now use its silk more flexibly, and one of the techniques it developed is Silk Ray. Even though current strength that can't even penetrate the clothes he bought from the roadside stall, Shi Yu is still satisfied with its speed. With this, Shi Yu believes that it is a great way to train 11, whether it's dodging swift and fine rays of silk, or predicting the contact points of the silk and selectively hardening the corresponding body parts. So he left them to train themselves as he went out to get groceries. A few moments later, Shi Yu was now at the bus stop, but to his surprise, the people were all talking about how the Tamers Association closed its doors to visitors today because of the loud bang yesterday. With this, Shi Yu realized that people must have noticed the shattered stone statue in the garden, as he hopes that they won't find out that he was the one behind it. And even though there was nobody else there, and CCTVs aren't a thing here, he was still troubled since this is a world where special powers are the norm, so they might have some novel way of tracking down culprits. However, he won't turn himself in before he knows what exactly happened yesterday, as he decides that it's safer for him to act like he doesn't know anything about this. Meanwhile, at the site where the large crack was located, several people were in front of it, and as they expected, it was an unexplored dimension. It can also be referred to as an ancient lost dimension, as they ask Dr. Lu what she thinks about this, to which she responds that this might be another opportunity for them, since she failed to decipher the ice dragon ruin. They have too little information on their hands right now, so they can't know for sure what's the truth of the glacial plane, but perhaps they can find something inside this dimension which will give them more clues. But before that, she asks if there were any other strange occurrences in the other areas when this ruin appeared, to which the president of the association informs her that an ancient stone statue placed in the of the Tamers Association crumbled. With this, Dr. Lu concludes that this ruined dimension didn't appear by accident, and someone must have touched the signs of history, while she wonders if someone capable of listening to the voice of history showed up. 4 days later, 11 is flexing his guns, as Shi Yu looks forward to seeing 11 defeating a higher level opponent. Even though 11 is only at level 5, he has an experience level of quick heal, super sight, and proficient level harden. With this, the invincible combination is finally finished. However, it's difficult to find a suitable opponent, so it will be best for 11 to continue training. And it's also time for him to buy more supplements. So he went to the 100 Herbs Hall again. But the worker has now had the guts to advise him to cut down on his spending, since he is worried about the frequency of his purchases, which Shi Yu acknowledges. But to his surprise, the worker tells him that he heard from the pharmacy in the south that a student bought a few boxes of pills 2 days ago, and that person was much crazier than he was. With this description, he got hunch that it must be Chenkai. However, the worker couldn't help himself but sigh at how absurd the students are these days. But since this was the longest interaction Shi Yu has with this particular worker, he asks why the Tamers Association closed its doors, to which the worker excitedly responds that he has asked the right person, even though it's not official yet. There's a huge possibility that pinching will take off. This statement confused Shi Yu, so he asks to elaborate. Hence, the worker did just that, telling him that his sources say that an unexplored region has appeared. If you are new to the channel, some of you watching are not already subscribed, and if that's you, and you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all good content like this, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 1,000,000 subs. And if you enjoy the video, or if you found it interesting, let me know by dropping a like and comment on it as well, would be seriously appreciated. Shi Yu was having a mental breakdown already, because he doesn't want to do any of his archaeologist shit in this life, and he already has other plans in mind, like how he wants to make some money, keep a panda, then find himself a beautiful girl, and they will have a cat together. They will move to a safe city where they will live a safe and carefree life. With this, he didn't hesitate to refuse Dr. Lu's proposal to join any archaeological association, to which Dr. Lu clarified that she never said anything about inviting him to join the association, and it's a bit of a waste for him with this talent, because including him, there are only 11 heroes in the entire nation at the moment. That's lower than the number of legendary tamers and divine ranked beasts protected by the nation, which means he is a big deal. So she is thinking of inviting him to join another organization, and he doesn't have to turn her down right away, because men rarely speak their minds anyway. Having this talent is a sign that he liked this field. Otherwise, he couldn't have possibly heard the voice of the stone statue. With this turn of events, Shi Yu was deeply thinking about how heroes are rarer than legendary tamers and totem guardians, making him a national treasure. However, he wonders why it is the number 11 again, if it is written on his birth chart or something. And if heroes are really that difficult to come by, he would expect a lot of benefits by joining this organization, and since Dr. Lu has been inviting him, he decides to do her a favor by hearing her out. So Shi Yu asks her about this organization, and what benefits he would come by, to which she responds that the benefits are great. She can even say that he will receive more benefits than a legendary tamer. To put it simply, once he is an official member of the organization, he will enjoy a higher status than a legendary tamer. If he can get the funds, he can even hire legendary tamers as bodyguards when he is exploring a ruin. With just these few words, Shi Yu's eyes lit up, because even the president of Glacier City's Tamers Association is only a grandmaster, so he hasn't reached the legendary rank yet, and legendary tamers can command overlord rank creatures. They're usually in charge of important offices in first-tier cities, as he wonders just how amazing this organization is that she's inviting him to join. And he doesn't seem to have anything to lose by it, even feels like he is a main character of a story. It's a good thing to have an organization backing him, so he concludes that it will be smooth sailing from now on. While he feels that he is truly blessed, because who would have thought a beginner tamer shouldering numerous loans would become a legendary persona overnight? How could he resist? But before he joins, he composes himself and asks her about what is his duties if he joins the organization. To which she responds that he doesn't even have to do anything, since the organization has a simple structure, so there are almost no restrictions on the activities of the members, and members won't be coerced or forced to do anything as well. That being said, she believes that tamers with a talent like this will hardly stay put and do nothing, because heroes are usually the first to rush to the scene whenever there's news about a new legendary ruin being discovered, and they will either support the exploration or lead the exploration themselves. After all, this unique ability is never possessed by ordinary individuals, but little did she know. Sure, you already had enough of that in his past life, as this was a dream come true for him. In other words, if he could control himself, he won't have to carry out his duties in dangerous locations even after joining the organization. On the other hand, he can even get loads of resources, bodyguards, and information whenever he wants to. With this, he excitedly asks her about the organization's name, to which she responds that it is the National Department for the Strategic Investigations and Reinforcements of Ruins. It's also known by its serial number, Department 11. He can think of the organization as a special department dealing with important ruins, and its members as the special forces of the archaeological field. So he accepts her proposal to join this organization, and he asks Dr. Liu if she is also a member of Department 11. To which she answers yes, and there are currently 11 members in the department, including the two of them, which Shi Yu couldn't believe that it was the number 11 again. But now that Shi Yu accepted to join, Dr. Liu welcomed him to the department as she declared that from this day onward, he is a probationary member, to which Shi Yu excitedly shook her hands. But as soon as he got to think about it a little more, he realized that he had been tricked and wasn't an official member. Dr. Liu clarifies to Shi Yu that every new member will have to pass a test. This is the only way that he can become an official member. Besides, Dr. Liu reminds him that he is too weak at the moment. However, the organization will provide him with 10 million bucks as his starting funds. So his current priority is to grow, and he must at least become a professional tamer and systematically gain archaeological knowledge. But just with the starting funds, Shi Yu was sold and regained his excitement, as he assured her that he would complete the mission. But before that, he asked when he would be getting the funds. Shi Yu was like this because to him, 10 million is much more enticing than having legendary tamers as his bodyguards, and he can stop training the green cotton worm with this money. So he had a change of plans as he said goodbye to the worm since it was free to go now. Then Dr. Liu answered his question, telling him that he would get his funds tomorrow and receive his documents with it. But she advised him not to tell anyone he is a member of Department 11 unless the situation calls for it. Otherwise, the international spies will give him a headache, and Department 11 is also the only organization that knows he is related to the appearance of the ruin in the Pinking district. So before he becomes an official member, she will be his only contact point with the organization. This made him think, since there are only 11 people with this talent in the entire nation, so he is one of the key talents capable of deciphering the mystery behind the ruins. He will surely be targeted. To top it all off, he is weak, and as he was in deep thought, Dr. Liu remembered that she had forgotten to tell him the most important thing. So she informs him that his test is to investigate the truth behind the Glacier City's history. Luckily for him, there's no time limit, and he will become an official member after he succeeds. And even though she couldn't decode the mechanism of the ice dragon ruin on the snowy mountain because of how she lacked crucial information, she thinks that Shi Yu is the key to finding the truth. She believes this because hearers can't hear everything, and certain turning points are needed for them to listen to the traces of history. So Shi Yu must be wanting to find out about the truth more than her. That is why he was able to trigger something. With this, she was more than sure that this mission was made for Shi Yu. And now that Shi Yu knew that Dr. Lu wants him to find out the truth about Glacier City's history, he excitedly asks if he can explore that new unexplored region, to which she responds that he could, since unexplored regions are special ruins. Even without using his identity as a member of Department 11, there's a high possibility that he can enter them. And Dr. Lu adds that what he does next will form part of his test. But before he could set on and do his mission as his recommander, Dr. Lu gives him a present. However, he may only choose one from the three things she states, which is a skill tome usable by iron eaters, a unique evolution method for green cotton worms, or a young high-ranking pet beast. And after she said that, she couldn't help but notice that the green cotton worm in front of her was raised well, and its silk must be of a high level, so it will be able to evolve without issue, as expected of a breeding major graduate. With this, she assumes that Shi Yu might even be keeping the worm just for fun, or to contract it after it evolved into a wind crystal butterfly. While Shi Yu was still daydreaming because of the choices that she had just said, as he didn't expect this, since he would have been satisfied with 10 million bucks alone. But now she was going to give him something else, and even though he doesn't think it's a good thing to accept gifts frequently without giving anything in return, he was taking advantage of them from the start anyway. So he decides to go all out and take her offer, as he contemplates if he takes the Iron Eater's skill tome. Even though 11 has enough skills for now, he believes that having an extra one won't hurt, and it's better to have a skill obtained by conventional means. Or he can also take the cotton worm's evolution method. He was planning to let the worm go, but keeping it for a while longer sounds like more of a good idea, since he has taught it silk many times and has reared it for so long. It would be a shame to let it go, and he hasn't sold any silk yet after rearing it for so long. So if the green cotton worm can evolve into a good beast, he can have it work for him, or he could take the last choice, the unhigh-ranking pet beast. Having a unique pet beast sounds like a good idea to widen his horizons, and it would be great if he can get a creature similar to the mythical beasts back on Earth. But now that he got to think further about the benefits of her gifts, he wasn't sure what to get. With this, he asked Dr. Lu if he really had to pick one, and before she could say otherwise, he used his shamefulness at full force, using her own words to his advantage. Just like what she said, he has to grow stronger as soon as possible to contribute to archaeology, so he really needs all of it. Surprisingly, Dr. Lu approved of it, giving it to him as an advance payment of his salary. But since Shi Yu won't be able to contract a young high-ranking pet beast right now, she decides to give it to him once he becomes a high-ranking tamer. Dr. Lu decided this since she knows that Shi Yu is currently an intern tamer, which means he can only contract a single pet beast. So he'll only be able to contract a second beast after becoming an early-stage professional tamer. However, it's still difficult for an early-stage tamer to contract a young high-ranking pet beast, because the level of the taming dimension won't be able to maintain the accelerated growth of a high-ranking beast. While Shi Yu understood this as well, and gaining a new young pet beast won't make a difference, so he accepts Dr. Lu's decision. Then Dr. Lu talks about the Iron Eater's skill tome. Even though she is not too familiar with Iron Eaters, she heard that the Bamboo Rock Gym in Pinking has 2 skills suitable for Iron Eaters, so she will give him a recommendation letter tomorrow. With this, he can learn it from the gym leader at any time he wants. However, this deal didn't excite Shi Yu, since he has been planning to do that all along. But he wasn't that shameless, so he just let it be, as he decided to hear the next one about the evolution method. And to his surprise, Dr. Lu assumed that he was thinking of raising the green cotton worm until it became a wind crystal butterfly, and then contract it. So he clarifies to her that it was not the case, because green cotton worms are one of the beasts with the most potential, which he can't help but want to give it a try. This response made Dr. Lu think, because of how true it was, that green cotton worms are one of the beasts with the most potential, and it has the most evolutionary pathways out of all known pet beasts, since they can undergo complete metamorphosis, and depending on the rearing method, they can evolve into moths or butterflies. Knowing this, Dr. Lu decides not to tell Shi Yu about the transcendent rank pathways right now, but she knows 3 chief rank evolutionary pathways, and he can choose from them. So if the green cotton worm were raised right, its potential would surpass Shi Yu's Iron Eater immediately, which means it's a suitable second pet beast. This intrigues Shi Yu, so he asks her about the 3 pathways, to which she explains that they are the low, middle, and high-grade chief ranks. The difficulty of evolving into those 3 forms increases accordingly. Firstly, there's the low-grade chief rank evolution, the ice crystal swallowtail butterfly. It's both a wind and ice type. The most powerful skill it can learn is Blizzard. Lastly, there's the high-grade chief rank evolution, The Morphohelena butterfly. It's a light-type beast skilled in light rays and illusions. However, specific materials and food are needed to evolve into these forms. Also, before the cocoon phase, the worm must at least master silk to the proficient level, if not the perfect level. But it's very difficult to achieve the perfect mastery level, so there's no need to force it. After all, the lifespan and talent of a green cotton worm are limited. Upon hearing how all 3 evolution forms sounded amazing, Shi Yu was thrilled beyond belief. Aside from certain materials, the only other requirement was for the worm to master silk to the proficient level to evolve into one of these 3 chief-ranked forms. With this, questions filled his mind, wondering what would happen if it achieved a flawless mastery level, and would it be possible for him to draw out 200% of the worms. He might be able to raise its mastery level while the worm is still alive, or he can become a legendary tamer and then raise the green cotton worm. But it's obvious that this isn't the most efficient way, since the green cotton worm can't live that long to begin with. And these are the only 2 methods he can try that a successful case before, in which the green cotton worm evolved into the sovereign ranked form, the ice phoenix moth. But before he tries this, Dr. Lu advises him that he shouldn't be too greedy, and it's not necessarily better for the worm to have a high-level mastery of silk before its evolution. Even though it's true that the beast will have greater potential post-evolution with a higher level of mastery of silk, the difficulty of evolving will also increase, which means there is a risk of the beast failing to emerge from the cocoon. So, there's no need to be obsessed about achieving a perfect level mastery of silk, unless he is confident that the evolutionary materials he uses will make the green cotton worm learn a new skill throughout the evolutionary process without fail, and that this skill will help it break out of the cocoon. But not even the best evolution planner can guarantee that. But little did she know, this information just made Shi Yu happy. So if that's how green cotton worms evolve, he might not have to stick to the known pathways, as he decides to teach it some skills before it forms a cocoon. This way, it wouldn't have to stick to the conventional evolutionary pathways. It can break the cocoon by using the skills it already knows. And with a high-level skill, there won't be a risk of it failing to break the cocoon. At the same time, he can push its level of silk to the highest so that it can be nourished by the highest quality cocoon, which excites him, thinking that this might actually work, as he chooses the evolutionary pathway of the Morphohelena butterfly. While knowing that it might not necessarily evolve into this, he knows that he can't go wrong by picking the rarest form, while Dr. Lu expected that he would pick the highest grade form. But since she had already warned him about the increasing level of difficulty, she just let it be, as she just decided to advise him that he should make the necessary preparations before letting the green cotton worm attempt evolution. And to help him avoid that, she gives Shi Yu the detailed guide for its evolution, so that he could study it carefully and think things through before he acts, which he understood quite well. With this, Shi Yu now knows the requirements for the evolution into the Morphohelena butterfly, especially the materials, such as a juvenile heart of light, ripe sunflower petals, fluorescent core, shining fungi, sunlight rock powder, and mature shiny grass. Then, the worm will form a cocoon after consuming the evolutionary materials prepared according to the recipe. And 30 days later, it will learn the new skill inside the cocoon, called Rainbow Ray, which it will emerge from the cocoon and turn into the Morphohelena butterfly. But now Shi Yu realized that this path was complicated. Besides, he could tell that these materials would cost an arm and a leg just by looking at their names. He is not even sure if 10 million bucks are enough to buy them all, and even the iron bamboo, which was the cheapest level 1 resource item, was already expensive for him, so looking at these items, which are at least level 3, discourages him. Therefore, he decides to look for a cooler evolutionary pathway themselves instead, since it's too expensive to let it evolve into a high-grade chief beast, and they will only go with this recipe if they were not sure they can pull the unconventional method off. After that, Dr. Lu bids him farewell as she praises him for a job well done in raising this iron eater and green cotton worm, while Shi Yu is in deep thought, wondering if it is a good idea for him to join Department 11. But even though he keeps saying he doesn't want to go back to his old career, it's just as Dr. Lu has said. If he was genuinely against the notion, he wouldn't have resonated with that stone statue, so he decided to accept his fate and enjoy the fact that he would get money tomorrow. With this, he went to a mall to splurge his money, buying a phone, which he specifically wanted one that could connect to the internet, detect energy levels, and has a pet beast almanac, which the worker immediately showed him the latest model. The almanac MBO, with entries of 6029 beasts and their skills. Also, it can accurately detect microwaves emitted by beasts below the transcendent rank. However, it's also priced at $99,998, to which Shi Yu thought it was expensive. but as long as it contains those functions, he may buy it still, so he asks the worker if he could try it out, to which the worker approves of it. So he tries to identify the nearest beast he saw, which is a mechanical dog. Surprisingly, it has a high-level skill, so it makes him wonder if there will be a bug if he tries to copy it. However, he soon realized it would be difficult to touch it after it self-destructs. Besides, 11 and the green cotton worm won't need a skill like this, so he decided not to copy it. At the same time, he was amazed that the phone detected the dog's growth level with the basic energy wave detection function, which he likes this function the most because he might be a top student, but most of his knowledge is about transcendent creatures, and he would never dare to say that he knows about all of them as well. But it's too expensive, and if he bought it now, he would be emptying his bank account. And if the 10 million bucks Dr. Liu promised isn't transferred to his account tomorrow, he and 11 will have to eat dirt. With this, he realized that he should have come here tomorrow, but since he was here already and Dr. Liu had already given him a rare evolutionary pathway guide, so there was no reason that she would lie to him about the 10 million bucks either. Therefore, he decided to take it, which made the worker happy. After that, Shi Yu was now walking at the mall while thinking about how 11 had been eating a lot of iron bamboo lately, so he went inside a pet beast supply to try and buy the metalcore wood. As the name suggests, it's a type of wooden material containing metal ores. It's one of the spiritual plants with unique contents. It's also one of the food items for iron eaters. Since it has the attributes of metal and wood, it can improve an iron eater's harden and vitality. However, it's unlikely for 11 to be overnourished, since its caloric intake is several times higher than that of an ordinary iron eater, and its training volume is also several times larger than that of an ordinary iron eater. Also, there's no need to upgrade the worm's diet for now, so he decides to skip it. And there is a higher grade supplement as well. But he still has his pills, so he passes on this too. A few moments later, Shi Yu was now lying on his bed, busy adjusting his phone for his personal use. With this, he could finally obtain information from the Tamers Association on his phone, so he didn't have to go there personally anymore. And to his surprise, the association has just sent out a message informing them that the Pinking District ruin is open already, and its finders still. Shi Yu was cautious of this, because who knows if there were treasures inside the ruin. There might be nothing but monsters, as he realized that this is exactly the reason why. Dr. Liu said that it's possible to enter the ruin without using his identity as a member of Department 11. They're trying to use the explorers as beast fodder, and they require the explorers to have a certain level of combat skills. But before he could do that, his attention was diverted towards his pet beast, telling him that they were starving. But since he will get a ton of money tomorrow, he happily states that they will be feasting tonight. With this, the food he prepared looked yummier than before, so without hesitation, they gobbled it up like there was no tomorrow. And as they were eating, Shi Yu told 11 that they would prepare for the wilderness combat training after this, which 11 was ready for it as always. 11 was excited about exploration because, for him, it's meaningless to train hard if he can't showcase the results. And that ice armadillo and the horde of earth rats weren't enough to make him display the outcome of his training completely. And after meeting the wind lion and the pressure he felt from it, he set his goal to challenge it. But he is sure that he can't defeat it at his current level. Shi Yu also knows this, since the wind lion is a chief-ranked beast. The pressure it exerts on young beasts such as 11 is strong. Sure, you also know this, since the wind lion is a chief-ranked beast, the pressure it exerts on young beasts such as 11 is strong. But the pressure given off by Lord-ranked beasts is much stronger, since it can even kill lower-ranked beasts in an instant. And the only way a beast could learn Intimidate is when they reach the sovereign rank. However, he has already copied Intimidation, so once 11 learns that, it will gain kingly qualities, and perhaps it will learn sovereign rank abilities sooner. With this, they are more determined than ever to enter the unexplored region. And from what Shi Yu gathered, they are basically scored based on the type of beast they defeated or the rarity of the resources they found in the wilderness training, so they can leave the fighting to 11. And with the worm's silk, collecting resources will be a breeze. The next day, Dr. Liu visits Shi Yu again, to give him his cards stacked with money, his ID, and the recommendation letter to the Bamboo Rock Gym. With this ID, he is authorized to explore most ruins, and he can enter the Pinching Ruins with this ID as well. There's also the Ice Dragon Ruins on the Snowy Mountain, but she suggests that he should explore that after he is as powerful as a professional, since he won't be able to survive the freezing temperatures even with warm clothes in his current state. Also, he can request for bodyguards when he is exploring the Ice Dragon ruins, but she doesn't think he can have bodyguards for the unexplored region he triggered, because, just like what he told him, this is a special case, so there was nothing that she could do but apologize, to which Shi Yu understood. So he asked for more information instead about the unexplored region to help him better understand what he is stepping into, and if it's too dangerous, he will have to pass on it. And since Shi Yu already knows the unexplored regions are former taming dimensions of tamers that once lived, it was easier for Dr. Lu to explain to him that. It is also the reason why in turn tamers are the only ones who can enter without any issues, and according to their experiments, if the tamer's rank is too high, their own taming dimension and the unexplored region will repel each other, and even if they can force their way in, doing that can cause dimension to crumble, then it would be a huge loss for them. After all, the ruins themselves are the most precious assets. With this, Shi Yu now knows that his assumption was correct, and that they were all just if it weren't for that reason. There is no way that the association in Peking would allow intern tamers to explore the important ruins. While Dr. Lu continues, informing him that the ruins are also challenge-type ruins, the tamer must have modified it in that manner, because the tamer must have wanted to train the new breed of tamers of his tribe. So the tamers that enter the ruins will be transported to different environments and will be isolated from each other, and clones of elemental beings will inside the environments, which the tamers can only move to the next environment by defeating the clones. It's like a challenge with stages. Tamers from the Peking Tamer army are already exploring the ruins as they speak, but the results are disappointing. Peking's intern tamers are too weak. If this goes on, they will have no choice but to allow the other districts or cities to explore the ruins. If their own tamers aren't making any progress, then it would be a great waste of an opportunity for this city. But Shi Yu doesn't care about this, because his well-being is his top priority, so he asks her if it is dangerous inside, to which she responds that they will be fine, since the elemental beings mainly aim to defeat their opponents, not kill them, but it will still be dangerous if the tamer is too weak. Speaking of which, this reminds Dr. Lu to share a website's link to him. He can enjoy special deals when he purchases breeding materials here, and if he uses his current resources wisely, he will become a professional tamer in no time. In any case, he can forget about the Ice Dragon ruins for now and make the unexplored region his current top priority. However, Shi Yu is now contemplating about retreating, since it still sounds dangerous. Even the tamers of the army can't make it through, but Dr. Lu can't have none of that, so she tries to convince him by explaining to him that he doesn't have to clear the entire ruins to investigate the truth behind Glacier, since there should be clues inside the individual environment, and his hearing talent should come in handy. After all, he is the one who triggered the ruins to appear. That being said, he should still possess a certain level of strength. So before he goes, she advises him to go to the Bamboo Rock Gym and let his Iron Eater learn 2 new skills, because knowing Harden alone won't be enough, which he understood. Now that was settled, Dr. Lu left, while Shi Yu was in deep thought, realizing that it would be best to participate in the practical test organized by the Tamers Association first. That should be a safer option, because if he can pass the test, he should be able to survive the ruins. And if he can't get acceptable results in the test, he can forget about exploring it, since staying alive is more important than anything else. That being said, he can't help himself but feel excited about this. He was even looking forward to enter the ruins directly using his ID. Meanwhile, Dr. Lu is serious about recruiting Shi Yu, since he has the talents and a clean background. But he's too weak at the moment, so the upper echelon won't agree to supply him with resources. However, this wasn't a bad thing either, because investigating the truth behind Glacier City's history alone would also be a perfect opportunity to train Shi Yu, and she has already spoken with the upper echelon. So Shi Yu will be her assistant once he becomes an official member. This is how serious she was in taking Shi Yu for herself, as she hopes that Shi Yu would pass the professional exam 6 months from now. And now that Dr. Lu has left, Shi Yu informs his beast that they will have to work harder from now on, while he can't help but feel impressed by himself. Even though he has gotten himself into the line of archaeological work again, he has joined a high-ranking organization within the span of a few months. So, there is no doubt that he is still as outstanding as ever, but he will not use his ID for now, even if it's convenient. It's just like Pandora's box. Using it might spell certain trouble for him, so he puts it away for now. Suddenly, 11 leveled up again, to which Shi Yu felt proud, as he noticed that 11 was about 1 meter in height now. So 11 seemed to be twice its size compared to when he met it at the Iron Bamboo breeding base. Still, Shi Yu assumed that it was normal. It leveled up after. With this, Shi Yu brought out food to congratulate him, which 11 enjoyed quite so, while Shi Yu used his Pokédex to look at their progress. With this, he felt excited as he wondered what grades he could get with these two if he takes the wilderness practical test organized by the Tamers Association. At a later time, Shi Yu was now inside the Tamers Association. But to his surprise, countless people were trying to register for a test, but he decided not to be bothered by because it just looked like there would be a bunch of tamers without potential who will be disqualified right away, and the tamers with potential will be sent into the ruins to be trained. Through this process, Pinching will have another batch of intern tamers who can sit for the professional tamer exam. So even if the registration costs 10,000 bucks, it's worth it if he can experience what it's like to be in a professional team. A few moments later, all the participants were informed about their test locations, and that the test will start 3 days from now. Soon after, the day of the test arrives, and a crowd of people gathers at the feet of Tianming Mountain, where the test will commence. But upon Shi Yu's arrival, he felt fear coming through his veins, as he thought he was being harassed by impure spirits before the test. Luckily, it was just Chen Kai, which made Shi Yu even more worried as he asks what happened to him and if he ate the supplements like their candies, to which Chen Kai clearly did. But he was delighted since Shi Yu's training method worked, and because of this, his ice armadillo is now at level 7. But Shi Yu wasn't thrilled to hear that he was abusing his health just to come here with a level 7 beast. His ice armadillo couldn't even take a single blow from 11 in the past, as he wonders what is Chen Kai doing here. So he asks Chen Kai if he was alone, as he was concerned because he doesn't seem to be in his best condition. But luckily, Chen Kai is with his classmates. Even the teacher came to cheer them on, so there was no reason to be worried, as Chen Kai tells Shi Yu about what happened to the statue they were just looking at before, and how exciting it was, which Shi Yu can't help himself but smirk, since he was the reason why the statue exploded. Then, Shi Yu advises Chen Kai not to wear himself out like this, and to practice restraint. But Chen Kai wouldn't listen because he believes that the potential of him and his ice armadillo can still be drawn out, as he assures Shi Yu that it will be fine. But hearing that 100 applicants will be assigned to each test location, and only the top 20 participants can enter the ruins, Chen Kai is not sure to pass the test. However, Shi Yu comforts him, telling him not to worry since he is an outstanding student, and he has a level 7 ice armadillo, so he might just be able to pull it off. With this, Chen Kai thinks about how Shi Yu's Iron Eater's strength exceeded its growth level, so Chen Kai now believes his ice armadillo might just be the same. Speaking of which, Shi Yu asks Chen Kai if he has ever participated in similar events like this one, to which he responds that the school organized something like this in the past, but at a smaller scale, so it's nothing compared to this. Shi Yu was asking him this since this was his first time visiting a dangerous place ever since his transmigration, so he can't stay put, and he is more excited than he expected he would be. Then Shi Yu asks if the girls are also here, to which Chen Kai tells him that they are not, as he explains that Yu Jingjing wanted to come, but her parents wouldn't let her. As for Yu, her Iron Eater can hardly catch a mouse, let alone fight in the practical test. But before they could even talk further, Chen Kai was called by his classmates, so he parted ways with Shi Yu. And now that Shi Yu was alone, he noticed tamers who are standing in groups with their identical gear, as he wonders if they were hired by the security company, or are they from the tamer army. But since they have assigned standard issue beasts, Shi Yu concludes that they must be from the army, which he thinks that joining the tamer army doesn't sound like a bad idea. The lack of freedom aside, the association covers all training costs, and the tamers are also assigned jobs after their training. He would have been among their ranks if only he was willing to undergo the strict training, and as he was daydreaming, the man who was in charge of the place called out for their attention, as he commanded them to shut their ass up, since it was time for everyone to fall in line and sign the safety responsibility sheet. And while they were doing that, he will be briefing them about the practical tests. Firstly, he is the person in charge of the practical test on Tianming Mountain, named Zhu Wanjian. There are also 4 professional tamers and a team of security guards with him. Everyone will be given a booklet after they have finished signing the sheet. The mountain is full of beasts and rare resources, but there is no need to worry since their identities and corresponding scores are listed in this booklet, and they will gain scores and improve their ranking in this test by hunting beasts and collecting rare resources. Also, everyone will be given equipment that they can use to call for help, and there are safety points scattered across the mountain. The security guards are stationed there, but they will withdraw from the test if they have called for help, and they can hand over their spoils to the security guards at the safety points since they will be the ones to record their scores. And all they need to do is to score as many points as they can, within 3 days. At the end of the test, the top 20 tamers with the highest scores will be qualified to enter the ruins, while the professor looks down on them, as they wish to be an intern again, since the ruins won't allow high-ranking tamers to enter. Still, they don't intend to let their guards down, since their top priority is to make sure that there aren't any casualties. Meanwhile, Shi Yu is reading the handbook that was given to them, and looking upon it closer. A single rat is worth 20 points, which is worth a lot, but they sound like they'll be much more of a pain than the earth rats. Also, he can't believe there is a berserk python in here, which the association doesn't recommend them to hunt this, but they are offering 4,000 points for it, making it more tempting as it is, since this is equivalent to 200 earth rats. However, this is clearly prepared for the tamers who are absolutely confident in their own strengths. But to be honest with himself, the python's berserk skill is interesting, because the beast can get an overall boost in strength and speed after using it. But the beast will also lose all sense of reason. However, this disadvantage should be overcome if the skill mastery is raised to the perfect level. So he was contemplating on taking this skill, and a berserker iron eater sounds tempting, but his attention was quickly diverted upon seeing the information of an electric slime, since this is a special creature that can only be found in other nations. But what surprises him even more is that it has an amplify ability. So if he is not mistaken, amplify is a skill that should allow the beast to shift its size at will. It can shrink or grow bigger. While shrunk, the beast can conserve its stamina and hasten its recovery. And by megamorphing, the beast sacrifices speed for strength, and this seems to be a great skill, so this is a skill he definitely wants to have in his collection, and only slimes would possess skills like this one. So he is determined to hunt down this particular slime. Soon after, the commander informs everyone that the test will begin in 30 minutes, and they have to purchase food and medicine from the nearby store before the test begins. Because once they set foot into Beast-Taming Mountain, they won't be able to leave for 3 days unless there are exceptional circumstances. With this, Shi Yu went to get what he needed, while he wished that he had a storage item right now, because it's a pain to carry all these items, and he will be collecting spoils as well. But this also reminded him that the Pinking Ruins seem to be a huge spatial item, which can even accommodate living creatures. So in that case, it is not impossible for this world to have something similar. But before he finishes his trains of thought, he was disrupted by Chen Kai, which he could only curse at this fucker in his mind. Expectedly, Chen Kai approaches him to ask if he wants to form a party with them, in which they are planning to hunt the berserk python, since his ice armadillo can restrict its movements, and one of his classmates who has an electric-type beast can electrocute it. But before Chen Kai could explain his plans further, Shi Yu asks him if they are even allowed to form parties, and how will the spoils be divided. So Chen Kai clarifies to him that the proctor didn't say that it's not allowed, and there should be enough rare resources around the berserk python's lakes for all of them. However, Shi Yu has another target in mind, so he refused his proposal and left before Chen Kai could convince him further. He did this because he believes that it will be more efficient moving on his own compared to teaming up with dead weights like them. A few moments later, the commander commenced the start of the test, as he ordered them to enter the mountain from any of the 4 entrances. After that, the professional tamer sent out several mechanical to monitor their every move, especially the ones who would challenge the beasts with 4,000 points, since the commander doesn't want to see clueless tamers being unconscious around them. Meanwhile, Shi Yu summoned 11, which 11 was energetic as ever, searching for opponents while keeping an eye on their surroundings. But before they have to get to the magnetic zone, where the electric slime was located, they had to make their way through the wild boar's forest first. Therefore, Shi Yu decides to hunt some boars as they are walking by. This was a great decision by Shi Yu. Even if the spiked boars are tricky to deal with since they are powerful, they are worth more than those rats, so they are perfect as starters. Therefore, their eyes glimmer upon seeing the first boar they encounter. Soon after, the boar charges at them, while it has already made up its mind regarding the parts of their bodies it would feast on first. With this, Shi Yu tells 11 to be careful of its tusks, since it will petrify anyone that it hits. However, it mainly attacks by tackling. Hence, 11 confidently approaches it as he activates Super Sight to dodge the boar's tackle at a hair's breadth. With this, 11 was at the boar's weak spot where the boar has no other way to counter. So without hesitations, 11 smashed it to a tree, and before the boar could even recover, 11 had already followed up his attack, completely knocking the boar out with a headbutt. With this, they gain 350 points surprisingly easy, as Shi Yu confirms with his own eyes that 11 is on a whole other level in terms of combat strength. And even if Chinkai and his ice armadillo could also defeat the boar, he reckons that they would take more time. Now that the boar was all tied up, Shi Yu happily gave the rope to 11 to drag their spoils along as they pressed forward, which 11 delightedly received since this is his favorite part, the strength training, while 11 admires how wonderful of an idea it was, using the wild boar he defeated as a piece of training equipment, as expected of his tamer. At the same time, the guard was surprised to see that someone had already scored the first points in the boar forest, which an intern tamer took out a spiked boar at the entrance. But what surprised them even more is the identity of the Iron Eater. Judging by the size, that Iron Eater should just be a cub, and it's not even a level 7, so it made them wonder how did it defeat the boar that easily. So they decide to look at the footage at a later time, as they keep an eye on Shi Yu since he is venturing into the boar's forest alone. Meanwhile, Shi Yu managed to find a group of boars, in which he was wondering if 11 can take on 4 boars at once. Therefore, he asked 11 if he would like to give it a try, since his hardened is at the proficient level. He can now fight while he is completely hardened, so Shi Yu believes that they shouldn't be a threat to 11. And as expected, 11 accepts it without question, because 4 against 1 sounds exciting to him. With this, 11 approached the boars, while Shi Yu and the worm cheered for him at the back. At the same time, the guards were in shock at how bold they were, as they couldn't believe a tamer with a little Iron Eater let its beast charge at 4 spiked boars, so they assumed that Shi Yu's last victory got to him, because even a level 10 beast will be hard-pressed to face 4 spiked boars alone. But what surprised them even more is that the cub they see on the screen, and because they can't just let this slide easily, they all charge at the same time. But little did they know, they are about to get the beating of their life as 11 activate his proficient level hardened whole body coverage, which he hooped their asses without restraint. With this, the remaining boar knew he wasn't supposed to be messed with, so they ran with their tails tucked between their legs. Meanwhile, the guards who saw this couldn't believe what they had witnessed. Even the guard, who was a former intern at the Bamboo Rock Gym, was in shock to see the cub already had a proficient level hardened. With this, he wondered if Shi Yu also came from the Bamboo Rock Gym. And to add more to their surprises, Shi Yu has another beast with him, which was for an intern tamer to have. So they conclude that maybe he's keeping it without a contract. With this, they realize that this kid was something else, and the green cotton worm seemed to be of a high level as well. So they were more than sure that he'd be one of the top 3. But before they could be amazed at Shi Yu even further, their colleague tells them to stop since someone just got injured. At the same time, Shi Yu was delighted, because now they have 1750 points, as he wondered if the boars were edible. But speaking about food just made 11 hungry. Therefore, they stopped to take some rest and satiate their hunger. Now that 11 is chomping down at his food like crazy, Shi Yu has the time to check the map, and it looks like they will be reaching a safe zone after exiting this forest. Unexpectedly, a loud cry of help can be heard beyond the forests, so without hesitations, they immediately run towards the voice, even if they know there are more boars up ahead. And just as they expected, 10 boars are charging at 2 intern tamers, but Shi Yu wasn't fazed by this for one bit, as he was just there, standing menacingly. And now that the intern tamers got a closer look at him, they couldn't believe the number of unconscious boars they were dragging. At the same time, it manages to scare the boars immensely. Now they realize they are not supposed to be messed with. Therefore, they run away, which confuses them. So after the intern tamers felt they were safe, they recognize Shi Yu. With this, they know that it hasn't been that long since he got here. Therefore, they ask about that bundle of spiked boars behind him, and how he managed to get them, to which Shi Yu just advises them to try the outskirts of the forest instead of the central area, if they are aiming for isolated boars, which they were thankful for. With that, they parted ways, as Shi Yu decided to go to the safety zone first, or they would be tied down by their spoils otherwise. But now he wasn't concerned about the boars approaching him, since the boars have their survival instinct, and he knows that they were afraid of him, so they wouldn't get close to him. With this, he arrived at the safety zone without any trouble, and upon entering the gates, Shi Yu surprised all of them with the 5 boars on his back. They couldn't believe it, since a single spiked boar had already managed to injure them like this, so they know Shi Yu and his beast are powerful. Even the guy who was lying on the bed reckons that he would be healed faster if he can just touch that Iron Eater, as they wished if only his Iron Eater has a healing skill. But surprisingly, with just the warmth of 11's greetings, made them feel a little better, while Shi Yu couldn't help but pity them as he saw the sorry state they were in. And as he was in deep thought, a guard suddenly approached them, while stating that they had been keeping an eye on him for a while now, since he had a powerful Iron Eater. With this, he volunteered to help Shi Yu in registering his score, to which Shi Yu was thankful for, while he asks if he can eat these boars, because he is thinking of roasting them, to which the guard advised him against it. Even though spiked boar meats are tasty, it's a pain to process them before they're edible. This disappoints Shi Yu because he thought he could finally eat something other than instant noodles. Soon after, his score was put on the leaderboard, which he was in first place with a new top score, and it had only been a few hours since the start of the test. The professional tamers were excitedly looking forward to these intern tamers. Meanwhile, Yan Kai, the guard who volunteered to help Shi Yu with his score, was amazed by what Shi Yu managed to do, because even if he had been working at the Bamboo Rock Gym for a long time, he had never seen an Iron Eater cub with a proficient level hardened before. Even his Iron Eater of the Transcendent rank, who he has been raising for about 6 years already, has just recently reached the proficient level of hardened with how amazing Shi Yu was. Since he is the one who failed the professional examination 2 years in a row and went to work in a security company, which Yan Kai sincerely apologized to have humiliated the Bamboo Rock Gym. But this wasn't the reason why he called him, so he cut to the chase and tells Master Lin about the interesting tamer he just met. His Iron Eater seems to be about 2 years old, but it has a proficient level hardened, so he assumes that he is a new disciple of Master Lin. But this only made Master Lin doubt his words, thinking that Yan Kai is just trying to his leg, since that doesn't sound possible at all, and all of the Iron Eaters in Glacier City comes from the Iron Bamboo breeding base. So if there was an Iron Eater with such talents, he would have known about it. But before he accused him of lying, he asks the name of this interesting tamer that Yan Kai just met, and to his surprise, it was Shi Yu, the one who Dr. Lu recommended, as he remembers when Shi Yu came for his Iron Eater. It was only 1 year old, and it hasn't even been a month since he had the Iron Eater, but now it has a proficient level hardened already. So he wonders if Dr. Lu helped him raise the beast with a special technique. With this realization, he tells Yan Kai that Shi Yu is not a disciple yet, but he might become one, since his Iron Eater's hardened is at the proficient level. So he asks Yan Kai to guide Shi Yu towards the magnetic zone, since it will be Shi Yu's main training ground for now. Master Lin decided this, because it would prepare Shi Yu's Iron Eater for the gym skills it would be learning in the future. But this only made Yan Kai cry, because unlike him, Shi Yu is going to be taught a gym skill even before he joins the gym. Still, he decided to follow Master Lin's plan, so he went to Shi Yu and told him that he should check out the magnetic zone, since he could find electric ore there. It's a first-grade energy ore, and it's an ingredient in some Iron Eater diets, which made Shi Yu think, since that's one of the recommended food items in the breeding manual. Chapter 40. They go to the vending machine, where the 2 Iron Eater tamers have a conversation. Yanxi lets Shi Yu know that he is a disciple of Bamboo Rock Gym and asks him if he knows the ultimate moves there. He looks at the man trying to help him and understands where the conversation is going. Yanxi elaborates that Iron Eaters can master fire and electric type skills. Shi Yu stops him from giving further information and asks why this guy he just met is telling him all of this. This is Dr. Lu's fault for baiting Shi Yu. He developed trust issues. Consuming electric ore is just one of the secrets of Bamboo Rock Gym's unique technique. He cites how making a green cotton worm into a Morphohelena butterfly needs multiple food items to achieve. Since 11 has a proficient level, his Iron Eater will not experience any problem with absorbing nutrients. Yanxi continues to relay the information that the magnetic zone would be the best training ground for Shi Yu if he wants to join the gym. His advice is to have 11 try doing it. Yanxi knows that if he got his own Iron Eater to master that technique, Shi Yu thanked him for all the information he provided. Shi Yu is really grateful for the first lesson Master Lin gave him, though he has not gone to the gym yet. With this, he summons 11 and tells him that they're going to get him something delicious to eat, which makes him drool thinking it was something special. So they go out in high spirit, while making others feel demoralized, as they can't believe they are hunting again. A few moments later, they arrived at the entrance of the magnetic zone, and as expected, just like what the map said, the magnetic field here affects Shi Yu. However, he can't back down now. Shi Yu and his beasts manage to traverse the magnetic field without resting, and to their surprise, they have come across an electric ore. So without hesitations, Shi Yu asks 11 to use Harden on his entire body to taste it. So there is no way he was eating that, as he asks his tamer if he is trying to pull a prank on him, because his training will be affected if he gets an upset stomach from this. Shi Yu tries to convince him by explaining to him that an Iron Eater must master Harden at the experience level before it can consume level 1 ores. With this, 11 tried to take the ore, but since he didn't activate his Harden, he was immediately electrocuted, but still, he managed to take a chunk out of it. So upon looking at it closely, 11 thought that it might ruin his teeth, so he asks his tamer to try it out first, but clearly he couldn't, so he just reminds 11 that he can eat it without worries. 11 decides to eat it as fast as he could, and as soon as he is able to swallow it whole, he feels ecstatic to know that it is edible. With this, he excitedly asks if there is more of that good rock. Now that it looks like there are no issues, they search for more of those good rocks for 11 to eat. Chapter 41. Shi Yu was not concerned about 11 being overdosed with this rock, and they will accumulate a certain degree of electric-type talents, and the Iron Eater can also expedite its development of electric-type talents by getting struck by lightning during this process. Because if Shi Yu can get his hands on fire rocks or ice rocks, he might even be able to develop a new type of Iron Eater. Still, he decided not to be bothered by this too much, as he focused on the electric type, and if 11 can master Harden to the flawless level, and pair it with electric-type skills, the unconventional electric cannon will be born, which is a combination of destructive long-range skills of different types, so they decide to continue their search for more rocks to eat. Unfortunately, electric scorpions are present on the next rock they are after. However, these scorpions do not scare them. Therefore, Shi Yu orders 11 to beat them up and take the ores for themselves, and just like that, 11 grabs the tails of the two scorpions to spin them around like they were nothing. At the same time, the guards were in shock to see they'd invaded the territories of the electric-type beasts that easily, so the guards concluded that these two must be after the level 10 beasts. With this realization, it's no wonder that these two were able to hunt 5 spiked boars, and from the performance of this Iron Eater, dealing with a level 10 beast should be a piece of cake for it. Unexpectedly, the commander was eavesdropping on their conversation, so he joined their conversations only to disagree with them, stating that these two might not be able to handle the slimes, but even if they can't, they shouldn't have a problem escaping. Also, the Iron Eater is 4 levels lower than the slimes, so even with its proficient level Harden, so the commander told them to continue their job properly. Surprisingly, not a moment passed. Shi Yu already found the electric slimes. They found it easily since they are following the smell of the electric ores, but as soon as they saw the slime, it went for an attack without thinking twice. Luckily, they were fast enough to dodge it, but they weren't intimidated by this electric bitch, as they calmly prepared in front of its face, putting on non-conductive gloves. Chapter 42. He didn't hesitate to charge at it, but as soon as he got closer, he realized that this slime was more powerful than he expected, so eating it was out of the options. Still, he tries to squeeze it dry like there is no tomorrow, making the slime release its juice all over the place. While the professional tamer was amazed by Shi Yu, since he is the first tamer who's smart enough to make his pet wear gloves. With this, they are more than sure that Shi Yu will earn 1,200 points. However, the commander disagrees because things aren't as simple as they seem, as he advises them not to look down on the slime. And just like what the commander just said, this slime was level 10 for a reason, as it uses its skill to erect itself, as he calmly commands 11 to use his Harden, full body coverage. With this, they repelled each other, knocking themselves on the opposite directions, while the tamers assume that the tides have now turned, since they believe that the electric slime might be worn out. But the Iron Eater must have suffered some damage as well, and both of them might even end up unconscious. But little did they know, 11 has a cheat, as he uses his quick heal to recover his stamina instantly. And just like that, he was ready for round 2, which surprises the slime and the professional tamers at the same time, as they wonder if the proficient level Hardened is that powerful, because this Iron Eater defended himself from that mighty electric shock without trouble. This even led them to think if this Iron Eater would stand the electric shock through to strike back, which was a more logical assumption. And just like that, the slime pumped out the last of its juice, so it falls asleep and reverted back to its original size. With this, 11 was delighted of the outcome, as Shi Yu praised him for a job well done. And now that he got closer to the slime, Shi Yu didn't hesitate to touch it. And just like that, he successfully recorded the Almighty Amplify skill. Chapter 43. While the professional tamers was flabbergasted, seeing Shi Yu toy with the level 10 beast they just defeated. Now they realize that this pair is terrifying. Meanwhile, Shi Yu noticed that there were plenty of electric ores on the roof of the cave, which delighted him quite so, since 11 would be able to fill its belly, and they could even pack the rest, so they could feed the slime 2 chunks of electric ores every day. With this, the electric slime will be their electricity generator, in order to hone 11's resistance toward electrical attacks by being electrocuted, and also improve its affinity with electricity, while the slime couldn't help but feel despair, as it realized that he was captured by these psychopaths, as they just decided to rest inside the cave tonight, while the guards on the other hand, couldn't help themselves, but feel shocked as they couldn't comprehend what just happened. Even Yanji, who advised Shi Yu to do this, was flabbergasted since he didn't expect Shi Yu to capture an electric slime and use it as a tool. The next day, Shi Yu and 11 happily started their day by capturing all 3 electric slimes. This was only possible because of the non-conductive gloves coupled with 11's skills, and Shi Yu could keep them in their electric dose state as long as he didn't feed them too much food. So they're powerless to fight back, making them the perfect training tools for 11. And to their surprise, as 11 was clamping his palm, he manages to make an electricity for himself. Even Shi Yu couldn't believe it as he was still processing. If 11 really managed to learn electric palm by himself, and upon looking at it closer, there was no doubt it was an electricity. Therefore, they went to Yanji as fast as they could, and showed 11's new skill to him, which shocked Yanji to his core as he asked loudly how was this possible. It had only been 1 day, and based on his knowledge, he can't really awaken electrical talents just by consuming electric ores and being electrocuted. So Yanji couldn't help but ask Shi Yu on what makes his Iron Eaters so special, to which Shi Yu responded that maybe they are just hardworking. However, he still can't believe this, and just with Yanji's reaction, Shi Yu confirms it. 11 truly managed to learn electric palm by himself, and while it's indeed unbelievable, this might have something to do with quick heal. Perhaps there was some unknown reaction between the two which shortened the time needed for 11 to learn the skill. So it seems that there are certain relationships between different skills, and it might be easier to master a certain skill before learning the next skill. Chapter 44, which means that it can now use electricity, and he can add electric palm into the handbook now, which he was grateful to 11. But before that, Yanji asks Shi Yu if they are going back to the magnetic zone after this, to which Shi Yu responds that they won't, since there aren't many electric ores left there, surprising Yanji again. After that was done, Yanji sat down and called Master Lin again to report to him about what happened, which also surprised Master Lin. A few moments later, Shi Yu and 11 are running through the woods again, since it hadn't eaten a proper meal in 2 days, especially when it gave them quite a bit of help. Usually, tamers will only start preparing evolution materials when their green cotton worm is at level 9 or 10. After all, green cotton worms need the nourishment from their cocoons to learn a new skill. Besides that, silk is the only skill worth upgrading, and while 11 will mainly engage in combat. With this, Shi Yu was contemplating if he should let it evolve into a support-type butterfly, like the Morpho-Helena butterfly, or perhaps he should make it evolve into the Ice Phoenix butterfly, because according to Dr. Liu, that will be a first occurrence in this nation. Also, if its affinity allows, he can give it some rare attributes as well, like he can teach it some space or time-related skills. Besides, the rare types might give his beasts a boost as well, but since there are too many possible evolution pathways, so he decides to change his train of thought and just think about the most important things, which are the skills and materials. To do that, he was searching for a material called Dragon Whisker, a level 1 spiritual plant. However, a beast was already on their tail, so as soon as they found what they were searching for and let their guard down, the level 10 fiendish wolf spider leaps for a surprise attack, which it managed to capture 11 without any problem. Chapter 45. But little did it know, 11 was strong enough to get out from its bind. With this, 11 got an opportunity to test his electric palms, so he did just that. However, it's just as Yen Kai said, the electric palm was not powerful enough. Therefore, Shi Yu decides to change his plans, as he tells 11 to grab the spider and toss it into the air, which confuses 11. So he approaches the spider with the plan in mind. So as soon as the spider launches its attack, 11 dodges it with ease, in order to grab its web and do what he was told. Now that the spider was in the air, Shi Yu told 11 what to do. So without hesitations, he used his full body harden, with his electric palm, to spin around and launch himself toward the spider. With this combination, a new skill was born, so they defeat the wolf spider just like that. While it was expected, Shi Yu was still surprised by this outcome, so he was thinking that it would be great if he could copy a skill that warns the user of any incoming danger. Meanwhile, Shi Yu was in first place by a large margin, which was to be expected, earning him a total of 20,000 points. Even the commander was amazed, because Shi Yu might have relied on his wits when he hunted the slimes, but his fight against the fiendish wolf spider proved his real strength. So while the average level of the tamers here is quite low, and none of the tamers have level 10 beasts, and with just that, the 3-day wilderness training has ended, so they advised the tamers to exit the mountain under the guidance of the security personnel, which the other tamers were delighted as they happily left the place, while Shi Yu was calmly contemplating to spend some of that 10 million on himself as a reward, since he has worked hard in this training. Soon after, the intern tamers gathered near the exit, which surprised them that there were only 73 of them left. With this, they assumed that the others must have quit halfway through the training. Perhaps they couldn't stand the environment, or they had to pull out of the test because of their injuries. Suddenly, the commander congratulated them. Then, he points towards the scoreboard if they want to know their individual scores. Chapter 46. And so, this marks the end of the test, and they are free to leave once they have redeemed their points. With this, they wondered who the hell is Shi Yu, as they hadn't heard that name in their respective school, while Shi Yu, on the other hand, noticed the people are getting riled up by his score, so he was about to dip out in silence. However, things didn't go the way he planned it, because Chinkai called out to him. So, without a choice, he immediately runs as fast as he could, leaving Chinkai to deal with the mobs that wants to know his secret. While Chinkai was still processing this, therefore, he answers them instead, stating that Shi Yu was an amazing guy. With this, they were more eager than ever to buy these clearing pills. Meanwhile, Shi Yu was about to redeem his points. Coincidentally, Yen Kai was the one who was assigned there, so Yen Kai got the opportunity to tell Shi Yu that he told Master Lin about his Iron Eater's mastery of electric palm, and he wants him to head over to the gym when he is free, since there are special supplements and food items there, which delighted Shi Yu, so he leaves the place in high spirit. While Yen Kai was picturing the look of disbelief on Master Lin's face, as he was doubting Master Lin can teach this kid at all. And now that Shi Yu is walking alone, he was in deep thought, thinking about gym leader Lin, who is a father to Shi Yu. Also, he can finally return to civilization, so he looks forward to enjoy the things he couldn't do inside the wilderness. He plans to enter into a contract with a mechanical life form, and try to be a machinist for once. A few moments later, he came back from his house. With this, two sides of him collides, as the cautious side of him tries to convince him to go, while the reckless side of him pushes him to go now, so after thinking it through, he convinces himself to go, because even Dr. Liu said that the ruins are safe. In any case, he should splurge his money for now, even when he knows that the 10 million he got can last for quite some time if he avoids buying evolution materials for the green cotton worm. And it would be the best if he explores the evolution options of the green cotton worm himself first, for the sake of his family. And who knows, he may find suitable evolution materials inside the ruins, as he decides to think of all this as an investment. With this mindset, he opens the website that Dr. Liu introduced to him. Surprisingly, he instantly liked what he saw, since these supplements must be designed with combat-type tamers in mind. And not only that, they're all organically sourced, and they're clearly different from capsules, which are manufactured using low-grade ingredients. He got to know the ingredients of this mysterious bean, such as the tendrils of ginseng infant, a transcendent plant, a royal jelly of the queen floral bee, a frog fat from the swallowing dragon frog, an elemental dragon, and this was produced using the ingredients that were collected strictly from the divine tree's unexplored region, in order for this bean to be used to restore a tamer's stamina and vigor swiftly, even during conditions of extreme exhaustion. However, Shi Yu couldn't help himself but feel that these supplements seemed strange and extremely familiar at the same time, so now comes up with a schedule to teach his beast in the most efficient way possible. Chapter 47. Even though these were the cheapest supplements available on the web, but with the help of these supplements, he can teach 11 all the high-level skills and raise the mastery levels of its skills to the max, so everything will be worth it in the end. And with that, he went to sleep after a long day. Unexpectedly, 11 woke up Shi Yu like he was an anime girl. 11 did this because Shi Yu has been sleeping for one whole day, so they didn't get any food to eat. And seeing that 11 was angrily starving, Shi Yu stood up and gave his beast something to eat, as he looks forward to teach the green cotton worm silk today, since he couldn't let his replenished stamina go to waste. And with just that, the next day arrived. Now Shi Yu was in high spirit as he was ready to take 11 to the bamboo rock gym, and perhaps he could get himself some iron bamboo as well, because 11's appetite has been growing lately. Unexpectedly, someone informed him that they're delivering the supplements he ordered 2 days ago, and not a moment passed. The delivery man arrives with the package, which surprises Shi Yu, since he didn't expect to witness a transcendent beast. used as a means of transportation during a delivery. So he asked the delivery man if he was professional tamer, to which he responded that he was, but he was new to the profession, so he politely asked to go easy on him. With this, Shi Yu now knows that this world has high requirements, even for a job as a courier, which also means that the pay is good. After all, the goods sold on the website are all high-end, while the courier was wondering why this intern tamer purchased that many high-grade supplements, since he shouldn't have any need for them at his bank. But because it wasn't his job to pry further, he minded his own business and went on his way. Now that Shi Yu was alone, he took out the sense of being that he ordered and called out 11 to reteach some skills to him, while he put aside the intimidate skill, an absolute slumber to leave them for next time, since amplify seemed more interesting right now, and he has many high-grade supplements and only 3 high-ranked skills, so he is more than sure that he will be able to teach them all soon enough. And the reason why he picked the amplify skills first is because 11's combat strength will be raised under his enlarged state, while in his shrunken state, he can recover faster, and it won't hurt to teach it this skill first. With this in mind, Shi Yu teaches the amplify skill without any worries, while 11 is still bothered by this, since he believes that he didn't deserve it without hard work, and he has learned electric palm, and his tamer is already trying to taint his soul with a cheat. After that, Shi Yu was shocked to see the cooldown time of the skills, since he thought that 72 hours was the maximum cooldown period. But this wasn't a bad thing either, since he had the sense of being he had just purchased, so after he ate it, his cooldown was lessened to 48 hours instead. Still, he felt drained, so it looks like teaching high-grade skills is his current teaching limit. Even with amazing supplements, he can't teach high-grade skills before improving his stamina significantly. Chapter 48. Meanwhile, 11 was undergoing some change, and to Shi Yu's surprise, 11 managed to master it already. So to test this new ability out, Shi Yu asked 11 to grow bigger, which 11 did without any hesitations. Now he became significantly bigger than before, as 11 felt powerful with his new size. He was even confident he can send those spiked boars flying with a single strike. However, this form may use a lot of energy, therefore they have no choice but to shrink for now. With this, Shi Yu realized that enlarging 11's body to twice its size and shrinking to half his normal size are the limits of the beginner level amplify. However, he decides not to be bothered by this, since 11 has only just learned the skill, so this will do for now. And this skill can now be used to his advantage, as he advises 11 to eat his meals in this state, so they could save a lot on food. A few moments later, Shi Yu was now inside his house, exploring the things he had just bought, since he was surprised that one Wonder Bean has already reduced the cooldown period by 120 hours, so he was now wondering if he took another one. Would his condition be restored, or will he perhaps end up much more invigorated than before? And even if the manual did mention that the Wonder Beans can be taken until his condition is perfectly restored, still, he wasn't willing to take it for now, because a single Wonder Bean can make up for more than 48 hours, so it's a waste for him to take another one now, and because a single Wonder Bean costs 100,000 bucks, while a tendril of the ginseng infant costs 50,000 bucks, he was now contemplating switching to another supplement. With this, he noticed the royal jelly that he bought, also known as Queen Bee Jelly or Empress Bee Jelly. Also, it was considered a supplement in his past life, but it has more nourishing properties in this world, so he easily decided to try it. And to his surprise, it was worth every penny. And even if the effect of this is like the clearance pills purchased from the pharmacy, taking this would be better, since he wouldn't have to deal with pills that forcibly restores his spirits through chemical means. The royal jelly and the tendrils of the ginseng infant are now unpacked, but there is another item tucked away in a blue cover that Shi Yu does not remember buying. A note is attached saying that a tailor-made battle uniform is for him to use from his secret fan. The thought of having a fan excites him more. Let's keep that mystery for a while because someone is waiting here at the iron bamboo breeding base for Shi Yu. While watching two grown iron eaters grapple, Master Lin feels about how he was looking forward to teaching a disciple electric palm at full force. However, he hears that this guy learned it in one day, even without his guidance. Shi Yu calls her father from a balcony, and Master Lin immediately notices her. She invites her father to eat out at the Dragon Palace in the fishing village. Chapter 49. Master Lin looks strict as he asks his daughter if she is done with her daily training. The girl shyly looks away. That looks like she definitely has not done the daily training, but instead focused on researching the evolution of iron eaters. Master Lin asks her if she knows this guy and remembers how she told the story of a guy named Shi Yu taking the disciplined iron eater. Shizu mentioned the name, then Dr. Liu said the same name. Shizu excitedly asks if this newbie will join their gym. Shizu remembers offering help to Shi Yu if he had questions, but he did not come by, so Shizu just assumed that the guy had everything figured out. This statement makes Master Lin give in disbelief because he does not know if smoothly is the correct term for this. Shi Yu mourned first place in the wilderness practical test organized by Tamers association with his Iron Eater. This surprises Shizu since 11 was level 3 the last time she saw him. This is the #1 mystery for anyone who encounters Shi Yu. The father and daughter both cannot believe that it happened, so he has resolved to learn more when Shi Yu comes by. No matter who hears it, it's always hard to believe that Shi Yu was trained to level 6 Iron Eater with proficient level hardened and electric palm in a short amount of time. Master Lin is so lost in his thoughts that he forgets that he had a lunch date with his family. He stands his ground and tells Shizu that Shi Yu's rare talent is more important than a meal they will have. This takes Shizu off guard, and she is amazed that this is what it takes for her father to rebel against her mother's wishes. She reminds her father that she has already told her mother he is coming. The bravery is short-lived. Master Lin starts walking out the door to Shizu's surprise. He tells his disciple to inform Shi Yu to come in the afternoon since he is feeling hungry right now. Shi Yu comes by and even knocks on the gym's door. The guy wearing his new tailor-made battle uniform almost slips his tongue and calls Lin Shizu Panda Girl when she comes to open the door for him. She gladly welcomes him after not seeing each other for a while. Even I cannot remember how long it has been. Shizu guides their guest to where her father is waiting. In the garden, Shi Yu is invited by Master Lin to sit. Kidding aside, she could not believe his achievements when she raised 11 herself. Being lucky is not enough explanation for this sudden power Shi Yu has. Shi Yu sits down while Shizu pours them a cup of tea. Master Lin promises that if he plans to learn in their gym, the most he can give is teaching electric palm and cannon punch. Shi Yu believes that the gym leader is being too modest. Master Lin also offers Shi Yu if he used the training grounds and equipment freely. Both Shi Yu and Shizu were taken aback by these luxurious offers, and the option to not train with other disciples. This even made Shizu tear up a bit, seeing someone else getting treated better than her. Chapter 50. Our Shi Yu is a genius indeed. Master Lin sips on his tea as he waits for the response. Shi Yu raises the cup he was given in response and thanks the gym leader for the generous offer that he thinks suits him well. His only worry is the gym not being able to afford his Iron Eater's growing appetite, especially if it eats during his enlarged state, knowing well that he would not get tired in his home if he did not have this advantage. Master Lin asks Shi Yu if his Iron Eater has mastered electric palm and if the harden is at a proficient level, which Shi Yu confirms. The bystander, Shizu, is shaking with disbelief at what she hears. Shi Yu should listen to the Grandmaster. He knows how this works. Even if ordinary Iron Eaters need cannon punch, 11 has more than enough skills to use right now. Shi Yu decides not to learn cannon punch until he has choices of higher level skills. Since there is not much information outside the gym regarding electric palm, Master Lin invites Shi Yu to learn more about it while they tour the training ground and meet the other disciples. Who is her mother? What powers does she hold? She seems so scary and powerful. Yanxi has told Master Lin all about Shi Yu's talent and power, but he does not really understand it. This idea excites Shizu, who has been waiting for this moment. We know that Shi Yu has also been looking for someone challenging to spar with. Shi Yu is not even a bit worried because he is confident about how invincible he is. They approach a running track for Iron Eaters, discussing how only interned disciples stay inside to undergo difficult training. I bet he would even volunteer to run, even if you do not bring it up. Uy, the student, should also try to become a disciple here if she wants to get stronger. It's something that Shi Yu likes bragging about. The father and daughter are both surprised because that is never heard before. Shizu was even more suspicious because that seemed to be more than what 11 was doing when she was raising him. If Shizu figures out why, I wonder how she will react. Shi Yu knows that this is because of the hacks that make 11 feel like he cheated, which makes him work even harder. But Shi Yu keeps that information to himself and lets out a small cough. In the Bamboo Rock Gym, Iron Eaters undergo basic training to master harden in pairs after warming up. Since the Iron Eaters have training partners, they do not need gravity or iron boards like 11. A man with violet hair called Kang Ru is called. His Iron Eater has 2 gold piercings. After calling the guy, Master Lin urges his touring party to come with him. They approach Kang Rui, and Master Lin immediately asks him to spar with this June newbie. Kang Rui looks curious about this newcomer. The disciples start gathering when they see Master Lin arrive with Shizu, a mystery man, talking with Kang Rui. Upon seeing the master, they think they should take their training more seriously today. The blonde guy overdramatically expresses that he will train hard until he gets hurt, so Senior Lin will help him with his wounds. The brown-haired guy humors him. Master Lin tries to grab everyone's attention and introduces Shi Yu as someone who will be studying in the gym. The disciples are happy to hear this because having a new member means that Master Lin will be scolding him more instead of them. They don't know all the special treatment this guy was offered just to study here. Shi Yu greets everyone, Chapter 51, and Kang Rui warmly welcomes him and introduces himself, letting him know that if he has any questions, this newbie can approach him. The disciples here seem friendly. Shi Yu can extend his social circle a bit. The request for a match is accepted, with Kang Rui having the confidence. He assumes that he is picked to guide the new member. The blonde disciple is disappointed that he was not picked because he wanted to show off in front of Senior Lin. The Iron Eater with 2 gold piercings is ready for battle, and Kang Rui urges Shi Yu to send his own pet beast. Shi Yu summons 11, who looks very small compared to the Iron Eater he is facing. Even all the spectators are very surprised that a cub is called to challenge one of their strongest disciples. Kang Rui was surprised as well, and with Master Lin and Senior Lin observing, the disciple generously lets Shi Yu go first to make sure that his opponent is not knocked out instantly. You should at least see how strong this new guy is. Well, Shi Yu always takes what he can get and does not hesitate to command 11 to attack. 11 quickly runs toward his opponent Iron Eater, leaving a trail of dust behind. The explosive strength and agility surprises Master and Senior Lin. This has been what they have wanted to witness all day. The defenders are ready to block. Kang Rui's Iron Eater starts to defend. But since 11 looks like a cub, he underestimates the power that this little Iron Eater has packed in his punch. Kang Rui's Iron Eater was able to use his arms to guard the incoming attack, which landed with a thud against his pet beast's skin. However, they did not see the next thing coming. As Shi Yu trusts 11 to know what to do next, 11 starts discharging electricity. The buzz of doom is starting. This, of course, catches Kang Rui off guard. There is no way a beast below transcendent rank has already learned this advanced skill. No normal person would see this coming. The duo did not expect this from a newbie and could not release Harden to dodge electric palm. The electricity starts to crackle more and more until the electricity hits the whole big body of Kang Rui's Iron Eater. Even though Master Lin and Senior Lin know, they cannot believe their eyes when they see the level 6 Iron Eater do it. Master Lin is especially amazed by this. It's not just learning the electric palm alone. The pet beast is now paralyzed due to the electric palm attack. Kang Rui has not recovered from what happened but needs to continue the battle. I like how Kang Rui is still focused despite the unpredictability of these newcomers. His Iron Eater gathered all his strength and stood up once more. 11 is more than ready for another round of brawl. Kang Rui commands his Iron Eater to use Hard Claw, and the pet beast springs into action, ready its paws to give the punch they received back. But he knows that he would not mind losing to a new member who has learned Electric Palm. As the big Iron Eater nears the little Iron Eater, Zhu tells his pet beast not to dodge. He instructs 11 to block the attack and strike back. He is basically telling 11 to flex on them. Zhu has never been more serious. As instructed, 11 stands still while the Hard Claw is hitting him. This leaves only a scratch on the surface of 11's skin. The higher mastery of Harden was not something Kang Rui expected as well. Nothing is going on as he expected. The big Iron Eater does not give up and takes another jab, which 11 easily dodges by ducking out of the way. From below, with his Harden and Electric Palm combo, the Iron Eater charges his fist. The bigger one can only look down at the incoming attack. Then 11 jumps upward to hit his open wide opponent. They knew he had explosive power, but they were still not prepared. The big one lands right in front of where his tamer is standing. Zhu brings his hands together in a sign of thanks for the great battle. At least this time, his opponent is able to fight back a bit.